get back to our book readings at the top and bottom of the hour. So we are, I think, a little more than halfway to our goal, but that's, we should be way ahead of here by now. This is our third week. So please call now, 877-378-8669. Go to freespeech.org right now, or if you're, if the easiest way for you to communicate is with your cell phone, text FSTV to 44321, and it's very simple, very straightforward from there on. So that's a cool new way that the folks at Free Speech TV, the elves behind the scene who are making everything work. I have this vision of Santa's workshop somehow, and I don't know where that came from. But anyhow, the great people, there's some great people at Free Speech TV who work their butts off, honest to God, work their butts off to make this network work. Just like, frankly, we work our butts off to make this program work. There's a kind of an ethic that goes right across the board, I think, that we all share, of providing high quality, top of the line, reliable, consistent programming on multiple platforms so that a progressive message can be shared with America. And if there was ever a time that a progressive message needed to be shared with America, it's right now. I mean, it just doesn't get as bad as it has gotten recently, and now we've got this whole resurgence of Trumpism and everything else. So call now, text now, visit the website now. Again, the phone number, 877-378-8669. The text number, 44321, and text FSTV, or just visit the website at freespeech.org and make your contribution now during this program, please. If you do, there are some goodies that Free Speech TV is offering. They call them premiums in the business. With a $20 gift, you have your choice of the Free Speech TV clear sticker or the Free Speech TV bumper sticker, sticky sticker. With a $50 gift, there is the Free Speech TV tote bag. Nice canvas tote bag, comes in two different patterns. You can choose one. With a $75 gift, you have your choice of the Free Speech TV hat or the official Thom Hartmann Program Free Speech TV mug with my mug on it. It's not the world's best picture, but it's not terrible. And it's actually a couple of years old, so I guess I look better than I do right now. Anyhow, that's with the $75 gift. With a $100 gift, there's the Free Speech TV notebook and pen, which are all kind of branded and great for, like if you write poetry. I always used to have a notebook and a pen like this when I was young, when I used to write poetry. You get inspired, and I just... or you want to make notes, if you want to take notes from my show, here you go. Your Free Speech TV notebook and pen, or the Free Speech TV socks. Those are available as a premium with a $100 gift also. With the $120 gift, there is, of course, the Free Speech TV t-shirt or an autographed copy of my newest book, The Hidden History of American Healthcare, Why Sickness Bankrupts You and Makes Others Insanely Rich. And that why is like the key to the whole book. Obviously, the book is offering solutions. How do we get to single payer? How do we get to Medicare for all and all those things? But the why will shock you and your friends that you share it with. This is a book that you do want to share with other people. This is so readable. Anyhow, a $240 gift, a virtual meet and greet, $360 gift, Thom Hartmann University box, $1,000 gift. Come to Portland and hang out with us, and we'll have a good time. But you already know about all these premiums. I've been talking about them for, now this is the first day of our third week. Bottom line, Free Speech TV needs your help. Text 44321. Text FSTV to that number. Call 877-378-8669.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Well, happy beginning of the week. We've got a lot on our program today. I want to start out by telling you about how Santa Claus and the Republican death cult are about to drop a bomb on Joe Biden's head, politically speaking. Well, I'll get into that in just a minute. Will the death, and then after that, will the death cult end? I mean, once we have boosters, now Pfizer has submitted their data to the federal government, to the FDA, and said, hey, it'll work for kids 5 to 12, children's vaccines, and kids under 5, probably by the end of the year, maybe by Christmas, we'll have pretty much everybody in America vaccinated. What are we going to do? Turn into two Americas, a dying America and a fine America? It's amazing. Anyhow, we'll get into that this hour. In our second hour, Dr. Bruce Gilley is dropping by. He's got a new book out called The Last Imperialist, and he's proposing that the world should return to imperialism. Colonization. Yes, right. It's going to be an interesting debate. And also, I want to get into Kurt Schrader and Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin. Why are these Democrats betraying President Biden? Why? We'll get into that in the second hour as well. In our third hour, Dr. Anna Malinow will be with us. There's a new plot to privatize Medicare. Honest to God. I didn't even know about this until this week. And she's going to tell us all about it. And we got a crazy alert. Yes, ducks can talk like people. So, to begin, today's rant over at HartmannReport.com is titled, Santa Claus is about to drop a bomb on Biden. And basically, here's what it lays out. The stock market's down like 500 points or something like that today. And in part, this is a reaction. Now, I realize they're saying, oh, gee, there's a company that's crashing in China. Well, that would take down the Chinese stock market. But what's happening here is that last Friday, Janet Yellen, our Treasury Secretary, came out and said, you know, we ran out of money. The federal government ran out of money at the end of July. It is now September. And if y'all don't raise the debt ceiling pretty soon, we're going to have to start cutting back on what we spend money on. And if we reach the point where we can't even service our debt, we're talking a worldwide depression. Yellen came out and said essentially that. There's a link to the Financial Times story that details it, or maybe it's the Washington Post story in my op-ed today. And sure enough, on Sunday, yesterday, Mitch McConnell came out and said, yep, 0 votes. Excuse me, that was on Saturday. Said 0 votes, Republican votes for the debt ceiling. So on Sunday, yesterday, Yellen came out again, and this time in the Wall Street Journal, saying, quote, we would emerge from this crisis a permanently weaker nation if, you know, end quote, if the Republicans do this strategy of saying, no, we're not going to raise the debt ceiling, we're going to crash the economy. This is an actual strategy. They have been running this since 1981. And I just want to lay it out for you. In summary, here's how the strategy works. First, this is called the two Santa Claus theory, and it was devised by Jude Wanniski. It was first published in the Wall Street Journal in 1974 as basically a letter to the Republican Party. Here's how you can never again lose an election. First, the two Santa Claus theory dictates when Republicans control the White House, they must spend money like a drunken Santa and cut taxes to run up the U.S. debt as far and as fast as possible. This produces 3 results for Republicans when they're in the White House. First, it stimulates the economy like crazy. Reagan tripled the national debt. He took it from $800 billion to $2.5 trillion and spent all that, you know, just spending mind-boggling amounts of money at the same time he was cutting taxes. And that stimulus actually improved the economy. And so people look back and go, hey, the economy was pretty good during Reagan. Yeah, give me a $2 trillion credit card. I'll show you what it looks like to live large. Anyhow, that's the first effect. The second is that it raises the debt, which is what the Republicans actually want. And then the third is that you add to that massive tax cuts, and the Republicans are viewed as Santa Claus. Hey, they're giving me tax money back. The second part of the strategy, that's the first part of the two Santa Claus theory strategy. The second part is that when a Democrat is in the White House, you completely reverse the script. Republicans need to scream bloody murder about the national debt as loudly and as frantically as they possibly can. Our children are going to have to pay for it. We have to cut spending to solve this crisis. Shut down the government, crash the stock market, damage U.S. credibility around the world if that's what's necessary to stop Democrats from spending any more money. And thus, in fact, if you can get the Democrats to even start cutting back on their own social programs that support average working people, they become not only, they cease to become Santa Claus, but they become the guys who shot Santa Claus. And sure enough, they're doing it again. They're following their two Santa Claus theory. Well, where did this come from? This came from this guy, as I said, Jude Wanniski, back in 1974. In the Wall Street Journal, he first proposed his two Santa Claus strategy. And this was back when Nixon, had resigned in disgrace, and the Republican Party was in such terrible shape that they were literally writing books about. Kevin Phillips wrote a book, basically wondering whether the Republican Party would even survive. But Wanniski came out and said, no, the reason Republicans are losing elections is not because Nixon was corrupt. That is past. The reason Republicans are losing elections is because they oppose Social Security, they oppose Medicare, they oppose unemployment insurance, they oppose food stamps, they oppose welfare, and they're not viewed as Santa Claus, they're viewed as Scrooge. And we need to change that. And then, of course, the question was, okay, how do we do that? And he said, you become the Santa Claus of tax cuts. And thus was the strategy born, right? And it worked really well. They did, when first of all, Reagan came into office, and Reagan and Bush together ran up more national debt, more debt in the United States than every administration from George Washington to Jimmy Carter combined. All the world wars, all the debt, all the spending, the Revolutionary War, the Civil, everything, all added all together, and Reagan ran up more debt than that in one term. Well, you add Bush, 12 years, actually. So, first of all, now you've got this massive debt. Now Bill Clinton comes into the White House. What do the Republicans do with it? Well, Jude Wanniski, by the way, had invented this phrase, supply-side economics, as a justification for Reagan's drunken Santa spending. And Art Laffer came up with his famous curve that said that when taxes go down, revenue to the government goes up. And so those two things were used as the kind of Potemkin village, the mask over the face, the justification for this. So then Bill Clinton comes into office. And what do the Republicans do? They scream absolutely freaking bloody murder. Clinton had been elected on the New Covenant speech, his stump speech, which promised to expand Social Security, expand Medicare, create a single-payer health care system in the United States, expand the social safety net, all kinds of really great stuff that Clinton campaigned on. And then as he was coming into office, Wanniski insider Alan Greenspan and his good buddy, Goldman Sachs co-chairman Robert Rubin, sat him down and said, Bush and Reagan left you such massive budget deficits that you're not going to be able to do your new covenant. You're not going to be able to spend more money. In fact, you're going to have to start cutting programs. And Clinton believed them. He took it to heart. He became the anti-Santa Claus. He said, the era of big government is over. It's the end of welfare as we know it. And the result was exactly what Jude Wanniski predicted. Democrats started losing elections all over the country as a result of Clinton going, shooting Santa Claus in the face. Thus, in 1999, looking at the wreckage around Bill Clinton, this last year of his presidency, next to the last year, Wanniski wrote this gloating memo that said, quote, we of course should be indebted to Art Laffer for all time for his curve. But as the primary political theoretician of the supply side camp, I began arguing for the two Santa Claus theory in 1974. If the Democrats are going to play Santa Claus by promoting more spending, the Republicans can never beat them by promoting less spending. They have to promise tax cuts. Then the president of the Cato Institute, this Koch-funded think tank, Ed Crane, he noted in a memo that year, quote, when Jack Kemp, Newt Gingrich, Vin Weber, Connie Mack, and the rest discovered Jude Wanniski and Art Laffer, they thought they died and gone to heaven. In supply-side economics, they found a philosophy that gave them a free pass out of the debate over the proper role of government. That's why you rarely, if ever, heard Kemp or Gingrich call for spending cuts, much less the elimination of programs and departments. And that was the year, 1999, that was the year that two Santa Clauses went mainstream, when the media bought it hook, line, and sinker, And, the Republicans got what they wanted from Wanniski's work. They held power for 40 years. And they did it to Clinton. Then they did it to Obama. The exact same thing. Oh, my God, tax cuts. Oh, my God, deficits. We can't, you can't spend your way out of. And what did Obama do? He believed them, too. He said, OK, let's cut Social Security. Let's do the chain CPI. His base stopped him. But he was willing to, Obama was willing to cut Social Security because all of the pressure, because, oh, my God, the debt, oh, my God. And then in 2011, when Obama was president, the Republicans, like they're threatening to do right now, like Mitch McConnell threatened to do over the weekend, they refused to raise the debt ceiling, and the U.S. shut down the government. In fact, if you're watching the series on, I forget where it's coming from now. I'm watching it on Amazon Prime, but it's coming from someplace else about Monica Lewinsky. The whole impeachment thing. I think it's Showtime. I'm not real sure. But anyway, Louise and I have been watching. It's an amazing movie. But we're up to part 2 right now. But that was the year. Sure enough, it was during the shutdown that Monica and Bill got kind of thrown in together into the Oval Office. But anyhow, that happened again. That wasn't 2011. That was 1999. Or whichever year it was. But it happened again to President Obama. Now he didn't have Monica, but it's like it worked. And when Bush was in office before, Cheney came out right out and said it. As they were spending money and cutting taxes, he said Reagan proved deficits don't matter. We won the midterms. This is our due. So now they're trying to drop this bomb on Joe Biden's head, and already the stock market is going soft as a result of it. And it's going to get worse. Over the next couple of weeks, you're going to hear a lot of talk about the debt ceiling. This is what's really going on.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
It's all about the two Santa Claus theory. Jude Wanniski has been dead for a long time, but he lives on. We'll be right back. And welcome back. This is just incredible. There's one last. This is when Jude Wanniski died. I mentioned Jude Wanniski's been dead for a while. When he died, George Gilder, who is a well-known Republican and prominent Republican theoretician and activist. I'm not sure he's still around, but this was back in, I believe, the 1980s that Wanniski died, maybe the 90s. Anyhow, the Wall Street Journal published a eulogy that Gilder wrote. And Gilder, gave him all the credit. He says, quote, Jude's charismatic focus on the tax on capital gains redeemed the fiscal policies of 4 administrations. Unbound by zero-sum economics, Jude forged the golden gift of a profound and passionate argument that the establishments of the mold must finally give way to the powers of the mind. He audaciously defied all the buffeteers of the trade gap, the moldy figs of the Phillips curve, the chic traders in money and principle, and even the stultifying pillows of the Nobel Prize. Yes, indeed, there were Nobel Prize winning economists who were saying, but wait a minute, this is crazy. When Reagan was campaigning back in 1980, and he adopted Wanniski and Laffer's theory. Wanniski invented supply-side economics, which said that, the historic demand-side economics of Adam Smith and David Ricardo, and, well, going back to Aristotle, literally, 3,000 years. Classic economics. What drives an economy? People having money in their pocket that they go into the marketplace and spend. That's what drives an economy. I mean, it was just unambiguous, right? Everybody understood this. And then Jude Wanniski comes along and says, no. What drives an economy is that there's lots of stuff on the store's shelves. Now, occasionally that's true, which is what gave him credibility. For example, when Steve Jobs invented the iPhone, and invented the ultra-thin laptop, the MacBook Air, and invented tablet computers, it actually expanded the economy because there was new stuff to buy. But that's really kind of the exception to the rule. If a store doubles the amount of inventory that they have, it doesn't expand the economy unless people have money to buy it. And that's what classical economics always said, was it's money in the pockets of average working people who spend all of their money to buy whatever's out there. That's what drives the economy. And then when those people spend that money, then manufacturers have to start making more stuff to meet that demand. What the economists call aggregate demand, you and I call wages. And so then factories have to be built to meet that demand, and thus the economy grows. I mean, this is how we've understood economics for 3,000 years. As I said, literally Aristotle talked about this. But ever since 1974, Republicans have had a new idea: supply-side economics. If we send more money to rich people, if we give them giant tax cuts, they will build new factories, even if nobody has money to buy their stuff. And when they build new factories, they'll put people to work because they're job creators. How's that worked out for you, huh? I haven't seen any evidence of it working anywhere. We'll be right back. Share the Thom Hartmann Program with your friends. We're available on SiriusXM, Free Speech TV, Pacifica, commercial stations nationwide, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, on the Thom Hartmann app, and you can even tell your smart speaker to listen to the Thom Hartmann Program. So we have a new video up over at thomhartmann.com. It's about 18 U.S. Code 2384, which is a law that was published back in put on the books on June 25th, 1948. It was updated in 1956. And it's very, very straightforward. It says, if two or more persons in any state or territory or in any place subject to the jurisdiction of the United States conspire to overthrow, put down, or destroy by force the government of the United States, or to levy war against them, or to oppose by force the authority thereof, or by force to prevent, hinder, or delay the execution of any law of the United States, or by force to seize, take, or possess any property of the United States, they shall be fined under this title or imprisoned for not more than 20 years or both. Tell me that doesn't perfectly describe what happened on January 6th. Seditious conspiracy. The video's at thomhartmann.com. Check it out. And welcome back. So, do you have any ideas about how the Democrats can fight back against this? It seems to me like just outing the two Santa Claus theory is like the most important thing, which is why I wrote about it in my op-ed today, and I hope that people share it far and wide. And I hope that it can get through to some of the media, because the media is portraying this as a Biden crisis, not as a political con job, as a political setup. So, question number one, how can the Democrats best deal with this? Question number two, will the death cult end? I mean, this is Kurt Bardella, who used to work for two different Republican lawmakers. He was a senior staffer for both of them. He now is a commentator who regularly pops up on like MSNBC. He noted that the GOP is shrinking in part because a lot of Republicans are just disgusted with Donald Trump and Trumpism and whatnot. But it's also shrinking because they are literally killing off their own voters. He said this on MSNBC over the weekend. He said, the party is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. We have a party that, number one, instructions to their most ardent supporters that will kill them. If you believe this iteration of the Republican Party, it could cost you your life. Your leaders, governors like the one in Mississippi, what we've seen in Alabama, with more deaths in Alabama than actual births last year. If you believe in this party, it could cost you your life. And then he goes on to point out that, number two, if you're a woman, the Republican Party's got nothing for you. They don't believe that you should have control over your own body. And so the party's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And he said this is what's going to happen to the Republican Party if they keep going down this path. So what happens, I mean, the Republican Party is all in on not getting vaccinated. What happens when there's a vaccine available for younger kids, 5 to 12? That's probably going to happen in the next week or two. And pretty much everybody in the country who is paying attention to the actual news or votes Democratic is vaccinated, and the blue states are doing just fine, thank you very much. In fact, they're starting to open back up. At the same time that red states, I mean, Washington State, which Washington and Oregon border Idaho. And Washington State is now saying to Idaho, you know, we're not going to take your COVID patients anymore. Sorry, not going to take them. So what happens in America when we've got one, you know, the red states, people are just dying in droves, and in the blue states, they're getting back to normal? Will the red states figure this out? Will Republicans figure this out? Will they turn on the Republican Party, or are they going to double down on death? I honestly don't know the answer. What do you think?
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Call 202-808-9925.
And I will pick up your calls right after this break. Exciting news. There's a brand new way that you can give to Free Speech TV. This is like making it super easy for those of you who, you know, like me, live on your cell phones or your smartphones. And that is to text to 44321 the word, it's not a word, the acronym, the letters FSTV, as in Free Speech TV. Just text FSTV to 44321. It's technically 44-321, but I just tried it. You don't need the dash. So just 44321, which is easy to remember, right? 44321. It's like this, just right in the right order and everything. Anyhow, you text FSTV to 44321, and they'll immediately text you back a link that you can click on that will pop open your browser on your phone to the very page where you can donate to Free Speech TV. And do it during this show, and you know, everything's good, right? 44321 to text FSTV to 44321. It's quick, it's easy, it's secure. You also can see on that page, you can see how much money Free Speech TV has raised so far and how far we have to go to our goal, which will give you some sense of how long this fund drive may go on before we can get back to our book readings at the top and bottom of the hour. So we are, I think, a little more than halfway to our goal, but that's, you know, we should be way ahead of here by now. This is our third week. So please call now, 877-378-8669. Go to freespeech.org right now, or if you're, you know, if the easiest way for you to communicate is with your cell phone, text FSTV to 44321, and you know, it's very simple, very straightforward from there on. So that's a cool new way that you know, the folks at Free Speech TV, the elves behind the scene who are making everything work. I have this vision of Santa's workshop somehow, and I don't know where that came from. But anyhow, the great people, there's some great people at Free Speech TV who work their butts off, honest to God, work their butts off to make this network work. Just like, frankly, we work our butts off to make this program work. There's a kind of an ethic that goes right across the board, I think, that we all share, of providing high quality, top of the line, reliable, consistent programming on multiple platforms so that a progressive message can be shared with America. And if there was ever a time that a progressive message needed to be shared with America, it's right now. I mean, it just doesn't get as bad as it has gotten recently, and now we've got this whole resurgence of Trumpism and everything else. So call now, text now, visit the website now. Again, the phone number, 877-378-8669. The text number, 44321 and text FSTV, or just visit the website at freespeech.org and make your contribution now during this program, please. If you do, there are some goodies that Free Speech TV is offering. They call them premiums in the business. With a $20 gift, you have your choice of the Free Speech TV clear sticker or the Free Speech TV bumper sticker, sticky sticker. With a $50 gift, there is the Free Speech TV tote bag. Nice canvas tote bag, comes in two different patterns. You can choose one. With a $75 gift, you have your choice of the Free Speech TV hat or the official Thom Hartmann Program Free Speech TV mug with my mug on it. It's not the world's best picture, but it's not terrible. And it's actually a couple of years old, so I guess I look better than I do right now. Anyhow, that's with the $75 gift. With a $100 gift, there's the Free Speech TV notebook and pen, which are all kind of branded and great for, like if you write poetry. I always used to have a notebook and a pen like this when I was young, when I used to write poetry. You get inspired, and I just, or you want to make notes, if you want to take notes from my show, here you go. Your Free Speech TV notebook and pen, or the Free Speech TV socks. Those are available as a premium with a $100 gift also. With the $120 gift, there is, of course, the Free Speech TV t-shirt or an autographed copy of my newest book, The Hidden History of American Healthcare, Why Sickness Bankrupts You and Makes Others Insanely Rich. And that why is like the key to the whole book. Obviously, the book is offering solutions. How do we get to single payer? How do we get to Medicare for all and all those things? But the why will shock you and your friends that you share it with. This is a book that you do want to share with other people. This is so readable. Anyhow, a $240 gift, the virtual meet and greet, $360 gift, Thom Hartmann University box, $1,000 gift. Come to Portland and hang out with us, and we'll have a good time. But you already know about all these premiums. I've been talking about them for this is the first day of our third week. Bottom line, Free Speech TV needs your help. Text 44321. Text FSTV to that number. Call 877-378-8669. Hey, thanks so much for sharing our program and for reaching out to our stations and sponsors and letting them know that you're listening. It really means a lot to us. Over at the Thom Hartmann website, thomhartmann.com, we have, the full podcasts and there's just a lot of information, and our newsletter. And the newsletter's extraordinary. It's free. Sue puts it together every day with her stack, and it's just great content. Links to every single article that I talk about on the air, and things that are peripheral to them as well. It's really worth the effort. And then, of course, at HartmannReport.com, there is my daily rant, which is typically incorporated into the program, but it's a written version of it, and that's also something that there's no cost for that at all. So you can check that out as well. Also, we've got a new video up about the dueling memes. If at first you don't succeed, try again, or the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. Schumer is going to try to do what Harry Reid did in 2013 by forcing votes. Will it work? We'll see. Check it out at thomhartmann.com. 35 minutes past the hour. Welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you. So how are the Democrats going to respond to this? And what happens when large chunks of America start conspicuously dying off and other large chunks of America are just doing fine, thank you very much? I'd say that we're there right now, but it seems like we're just kind of on the edge of there. Tim in Rochester, New York, it says you disagree with me. What do you disagree about, Tim?
Well, no, I just had a question. I don't. Good morning, by the way, or good afternoon. When you say that, or there was a comment, I think I heard it correctly, that the people who follow Trump policies were killing people, and I caught the tail end of it. Were you talking about the vaccines? People not taking the vaccines?
Yes, Trump and his buddies spreading skepticism about both vaccines and masks. Yes.
Both vaccines and masks. Well, I can imagine. He just held a rally where he encouraged everybody to take vaccines, where there was 100,000 people there.
Yeah.
and they booed him about it.
Nobody's taking him seriously. It's just like when he said, we're opposed to white supremacy.
Didn't mean it when he said
Everybody understands the wink, wink, nod, nod when it comes from Donald Trump. What's your point, Tim?
Now, when President Biden and Kamala Harris were running for president, they stated on national TV that they would not take the vaccine if Trump was involved in it in any way.
No, they didn't say that. Kamala Harris, one of them was asked if Trump was the one who was advocating the vaccine, would they trust that? And they said basically, I don't think I would, I would want the FDA. You're talking about ending the redistribution of federal taxes from the federal government, from us in blue states to the red states. The red states are taking $2, $3 for every dollar they send to D.C., and blue states are getting like 40, 50, 60, 70 cents for every dollar they send to D.C. Yeah.
Exactly. Let Biden be Santa Claus and take away those things, and then we form a coalition in the blue states, collect up taxes, and we build our roads, we build our schools. Let the red states say, look, how would Kentucky make out should that happen?
It's already happening, Andrew. I mean, you've got in Mississippi, you've got higher rates of hookworm and roundworm, and higher rates of maternal and child mortality, women and children dying in childbirth, than in many third world countries. I don't think most, but many third world countries. I mean, we literally have a third world country here in the United States, and it's called the Deep South.
Right. They're not going to listen to anything we're saying. They don't even listen to the media that we listen to, so they're not going to get correct information on any of this.
Yeah, I think you're right. But when you see somebody die on TV, it's an abstraction. When your next door neighbor dies from COVID, it gets real, right? Or somebody that you are friends with on Facebook. So I guess the question is, at what point, what's it going to take for Trump followers and red state governors? We saw Tate Reeves, the governor of Mississippi, over the weekend, just make a total fool of himself on Jake Tapper's show, defending his unwillingness to allow schools to have mask mandates. At what point do they get it that they are killing themselves? I guess that's my question.
I don't know how much attrition has to happen before that really sinks in with them.
I don't either. I would have thought long before now, but Andrew, thank you for the call. Don in Wheaton, Illinois. Hey, Don, what's up?
Hello?
Hey, Don, you're on the air.
Oh, hi. When you were saying earlier that, the media is following the Republicans' narrative, I don't think we can expect to wake up the media, even though some of the news personalities some of them may be more liberal. The networks and, the networks and the conglomerates like NBC and Comcast will follow the Republican narrative because they don't want any chance of Biden or a future president, Democratic or independent, going in and breaking up the monopolies and going after net neutrality.
And raising their taxes.
Exactly.
Yeah. I get it.
Exactly.
I mean, the bias that's built into the media, people fail to realize when they're watching, whether it's CNN or MSNBC or ABC, NBC, CBS, that they are watching a multi-billion-dollar corporation. They're watching the news being presented by a multi-billion-dollar corporation. And multi-billion-dollar and most of the people who are presenting the news, by the way, are paid well over $1 million a year. So you've got both presenters and producers are paid quite well, not $1 million a year, but they're typically paid very well into six figures. And so you've got an entire industry that has its own, essentially, axe to grind. And but they're presenting themselves as, we are the guys in the middle. We are the ones who are presenting. So yeah, there is a certain bias there, and that's why I think they're more inclined to buy into the whole two Santa Claus thing. Don, thanks for the call. Scott in Cincinnati, Ohio. Hey, Scott, what's up?
Hey, I like this two Santa Claus theory, but it's a simple solution. We got to get out and vote, and we vote as Democrats, liberals. We outnumber them. We win, and if we do that in the midterm elections, that will scare the crap out of the conservatives of this country, and they will start to really take a hard look at how well Trump is allegedly leading their party off the cliff. It will scare the crap out of them.
I hope so, Scott. The thing is, I mean, you live in Ohio. Your Secretary of State has been deleting massive numbers of mostly black people from the voting rolls in cities like Cincinnati and Cleveland. And the Republican and the Democrats sued over that, saying, "Wait a minute, this is highly racialized, voter purging," and they took it to the Supreme Court, and by a 5-4 right-wing majority, the Supreme Court said it's good with us. So you're going to have a whole lot of people, Democratic voters, who show up to vote in the midterms, next November, who are told when they get there, "Sorry, you're not even registered to vote."
I believe there's a way you can go online in Ohio, and I can't remember the website, where you can verify if you're still registered to vote. I'd have to check what the website is, but you can do that.
There is, and there's a national website, too, that gives you access to that. And I'm sorry, I don't have it right off the top of my head. Every 2 years, we start promoting this website. But the people who are listening to this program are probably not the people who are going to get blindsided. The people who are going to get blindsided are the relatively low information voters, the people who are listening to sports radio or music, the people who only pay attention to politics for the last month of every election cycle, and by then it's way too late to even check your voter registration. In a lot of states.
That's why you got to take friends. You got to talk it up with your friends. I mean, we're all in our own little tribes, unfortunately, but you got to talk to your tribe and get them all on the same page. If we do that, we're in good shape.
I'm completely with you. Thank you, Scott. Because the Republican Party, as Kurt Bordella points out, the Republican Party is shrinking. Not only are they killing off their own members, but people who realize that they're killing off their own members are saying, "That's not my party anymore. I'll see you guys later." It's going to be a real interesting election next year. 44 minutes past the hour.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann. Visit thomhartmann.com for audio and video archives.
Back with your calls right after this break. It's the Thom Hartmann Program, your media support group for We the People. And welcome back. Mark in San Francisco. Hey, Mark, what's on your mind today?
What's on my mind is I think the Democrats ought to use homelessness and use that as a way to say that, Reaganomics has caused homelessness. And another thing that Reagan did was he threw out people that were mentally disabled into the streets. And I've seen this over the years, Tom, and I think the Democrats need to blame the Republicans for the homeless problem.
Good luck with that, Mark. I mean, I live here in Portland, and we've got a terrible homelessness problem. And, we could talk all day long about the dynamics of Reaganomics and neoliberalism and how it produced the homeless problem. And it's all accurate. But the fact of the matter is that, when a homeless person, is peeing on the back of your house, people tend to yell at the mayor. They're looking at the current administration. I mean, they don't want to hear anything about what happened back in the 1980s or, ongoing Republican policies. They just want, homeless people housed out of their neighborhoods, and the compassionate among them want homeless people, housed in a way that's humane and decent and given an opportunity to put their lives back together so they can once again become productive members of society. I think that if Democrats are going to take on homelessness, they need to do it in a very aggressive, very proactive way that will involve spending money. But, like Finland, they declared homelessness illegal. And what that meant was that any politician, any city, any state, any county that allows homelessness to continue is in violation of the law. Not that the homeless people are in violation of the law. I think that's the way we need to do it here.
Tom, what I've seen is that a lot of the people out in the street really needed to be in an institution to be helped. And Reagan threw them all out. And that's a lot of the homeless.
It's true. I don't know what percentage, but certainly the homeless guy who attacked my wife, the homeless guy who's living near the building that we're doing this show from, who's walking around yelling at himself every morning into the sky. These are people for whom there should be a facility and some reasonable care, and instead they are on the streets. I'm with you. Mark, thank you for the call. Ed in Chicago. Hey, Ed, what's up?
Hey, Tom. I've been listening to you for years talking about the two Santa Claus theory, and I've called my representatives for years about the two Santa Claus theory. So my question is, why do you think the Democrats, whenever they get any kind of airtime, never talk about the two Santa Claus theory? I don't get it. It's simple. It's easy to explain. You can Google it easy. But the Democrats, why do they never talk about it whenever they have a chance?
That's the $64,000 question, Ed. I don't know the answer. I'm guessing that they just don't know about it. Yes, I've been talking about it for years on this program. I've been writing about it for years. This is the first time in about a year that I've written anything about it, and I wrote, a new piece for HartmannReport.com this morning. And I'm hopeful. I know at least a couple of members of Congress who receive Hartmann Report every day, and I know at least one of them opens it and reads it. So I'm hoping the word will spread. I'm hoping the word will get around. But
yeah, I just, like I said, I mean, every I don't know, once a couple of times a year, I call my reps about it and explain it to them, tell them where to find it. And every now and then someone answers the phone, is aware of it. But
yeah,
God, this is so simple, and it explains. I just don't understand why they're not talking about it every time they get airtime.
Yeah, I'm with you. They have been running this scam literally since 1981. And the media hasn't figured it out, and a lot of elected Democrats haven't figured it out. Where'd this come from? Oh, my God. Ed, thank you for the call. I share your bafflement. We'll be right back in 1 minute. Change starts with you. You can be calling your Democratic or Republican representatives to let them know what you think by calling 202-224-3121. It's the Capitol switchboard. It'll get you right through to them. We have a new video over at ThomHartmann.com for the folks who support our program, and it's this one's a geeky science one. And it's about this little snippet of genetic material, what's called microRNA. And the name of this one is called MIR1, M-I-R-1. And we've known for years that when muscles are used, I'm talking about exercise to the point where you feel fatigue in your muscles, that when when muscles are exercised, it depletes them of MIR1. What they didn't know is where that MIR1 goes and what it does. And it turns out that our fat cells draw the MIR1 in from the muscles, and it causes the fat cells to start converting themselves into fatty acids that can be used to feed the muscles. So we're not just building muscle, but we're also reducing fat in our body. It's absolutely fascinating. I'm going into depth on it in this new video. It's over at ThomHartmann.com. And welcome back. Gordon in Naperville, Illinois. Hey, Gordon, what's up?
Hi there. I think the way to beat the two Santa Claus theory is to become the bigger Santa Claus, and
I agree.
Beat them at their own game.
But and in fact, that's what Joe Biden's trying to do with his $3.5 trillion reconciliation package. But now he's got Kirsten Sinema and Joe Manchin in the Senate, and Kurt Schrader and some of his buddies in the House trying to kneecap him.
Right. Now, one of the ways I think we should do this is through tax cuts. I'd like to propose basically a flat tax, which I know the knee-jerk reaction is, no, that's regressive. But if you tax all income, regardless of source or type, so that includes, stocks, options, whatever, but also include a flat deduction, give everybody the same $100,000 deduction. So now nobody making $100,000 or less pays any taxes. That'd be popular.
Right. Basically,
also,
what you're arguing, Gordon, if I may, is, or what it sounds to me, is simply do away with the capital gains designation and carried interest and all these other fancy designations for other kinds of income that people, quote, earn by sitting on their butt around the pool waiting for the check to arrive, and roll all of that into one thing called income tax.
Yes, call it a flat tax, but then give everybody the same deduction, all right? So you eliminate taxes on essentially all of the lower income people. Biggest tax cut in history, right?
Yeah.
But then on top of that, there's a third part here, that if you take that deduction and you allow for negative taxes, so let's say you make $50,000 a year, deduct $100,000, you now are going to get taxed on negative 50.
In other words, you get money back. Those are called tax
back.
credits, and that's, the child tax credit is actually, using your logic, it's being referred to by Democrats as the largest middle-class tax cut in history. And I think if you accept that logic, it is. And they're proposing in their Build Back Better plan, this $3.5 trillion reconciliation package, to make that permanent. It expires at the end of next year.
Well, except what this would do is essentially give the guaranteed minimum income.
Right.
Whether you have children or not. Let's say...
No, I get it. I completely get it.
Let's say the flat tax is 20%. Even if you gave a negative tax rate of half of that,
sure.
And somebody who makes nothing in a year, somebody who is for some reason unemployable, they're still going to get at least $10,000 a year.
No, I get what you're saying, Gordon, and it's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea at all. I'm wary of the phrase flat tax, but it's such a large change, though, in our tax policy. I think the practical reality is that it ain't going to happen. DK in Rapid City, South Dakota. Hey, DK, what's up?
Yeah, first-time caller. Hi,
Thank
Tom.
You. Hi.
I enjoy you. The boy started listening to you in homeschool years back, and he got me hooked.
Oh, great.
So you were talking about COVID in these red states and what it's going to take, and I live in an extremely rural area, not in Rapid. And it's a lot of it, I think, comes down to just peer pressure, because nobody wants to be attacked for taking precautions or speaking out or whatever, and so most of the time nobody says much anything. I started wearing a mask in March of 2020. I go to town, I wear a mask. If I interact with somebody and it's not outdoors at a fair distance, I wear a mask. If it's somebody I'm uncertain what their attitude is, I will wear a mask even outdoors until I see whether they're, if they attack me for wearing a mask, I'm just going to tell them to get off my property.
Yeah. Are you getting blowback for that in South Dakota? I mean, you've got a governor, Kristi Noem, who is responsible for thousands of deaths.
She's just looking for what her next job's going to be. She wants to be the next vice president or president or whatever, and she's not going to do it. But anyway, no, I haven't gotten, I got a look or two and once in a while, but everybody in the area, we don't go to town much in the first place. And then with this COVID thing, we go to town a lot less. And we have two designated members of the family that I do the local stuff with a mask, and another family member younger than me does the out-of-county stuff with a mask. Just in the last, since we got vaccinated, I started going, I'll go to the next county and go to grocery stores and like that with a mask. Almost nobody's wearing a mask. But, but nobody's complaining about it. A lot of places have disposable masks and hand sanitizer available. Everybody's just trying to keep their head down and not get attacked.
Yeah, on both sides.
From my perspective. But it's like, I'm not going out and socializing. I don't do that much anyway because I like living in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
So, but the other thing with South Dakota is historically we've voted Democratic in the past. But
wasn't George McGovern from South Dakota? Somebody was. Yeah,
McGovern was from South Dakota, and we had was Johnson, and they did a survey after he had that health issue. Like, did they think we ought to kick him out because he wasn't up to doing his job? And my response when the Republican Party polled me was, no, he's been in there a long time. He's been doing just fine. I think we'll just let him stay in there until he decides to leave. And then after that, I didn't hear diddly squat anymore about trying to get rid of him.
Yeah, interesting.
But we stopped taking Republican polls. But the reason for staying registered Republican in this state is if you want to have a voice, your best chance of a voice is going to be voting in the primary for the candidate that's least bad.
Yeah.
And that's the only way you got any kind of a voice until you get to the actual election.
Amazing.
So, but everybody sort of got their head down. It wouldn't surprise me if in the next 5-10 years South Dakota flips Democratic due to this. It won't surprise me.
I think it's going to happen all over the country. DK, I got to run. Thank you so much for the call.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann.
These companies support the Thom Hartmann Program. They are HelloFresh, the #1 meal kit delivery service. More information at HelloFresh.com, code TOM. CB Distillery for sleeping and pain relief. More info at cbdistillery.com, code TOM. Dinovite, only the best all-natural pet supplements. More info at dinovite.com. Annie's Kit Clubs, creativity delivered right to your door. More info at annieskitclubs.com/Tom. Wild Alaskan Company, delicious, sustainably sourced seafood delivered right to your door. More information at wildalaskancompany.com/Tom. And Mack Weldon, reinventing men's basics. More info at mackweldon.com/Tom.
We say fight back!
Exciting news. There's a brand new way that you can give to Free Speech TV. This is like making it super easy for those of you who, like me, live on your cell phones or your smartphones. And that is to text to 44321 the word, it's not a word, the acronym, the letters FSTV, as in Free Speech TV. Just text FSTV to 44321. It's technically 44-321, but I just tried it. You don't need the dash. So just 44321, which is easy to remember, right? 44321. It's like this, just right in the right order and everything. Anyhow, you text FSTV to 44321, and they'll immediately text you back a link that you can click on that will pop open your browser on your phone to the very page where you can donate to Free Speech TV. And do it during this show, and everything's good, right? 44321 to text FSTV to 44321. It's quick, it's easy, it's secure. You also can see on that page, you can see how much money Free Speech TV has raised so far and how far we have to go to our goal, which will give you some sense of how long this fund drive may go on before we can get back to our book readings at the top and bottom of the hour. So we are, I think, a little more than halfway to our goal, but that's, we should be way ahead of here by now. This is our third week. So please call now, 877-378-8669. Go to freespeech.org right now, or if you're if the easiest way for you to communicate is with your cell phone, text FSTV to 44321, and it's very simple, very straightforward from there on. So that's a cool new way that the folks at Free Speech TV, the elves behind the scene who are making everything work, I have this vision of Santa, Santa's workshop somehow, and I don't know where that came from. But anyhow, the great people, there's some great people at Free Speech TV who work their butts off, honest to God, work their butts off to make this network work. Just like, frankly, we work our butts off to make this program work. There's a kind of an ethic that goes right across the board, I think, that we all share, of providing high quality, top of the line, reliable, consistent programming on multiple platforms so that a progressive message can be shared with America. And if there was ever a time that a progressive message needed to be shared with America, it's right now. I mean, it just doesn't get as bad as it has gotten recently, and now we've got this whole resurgence of Trumpism and everything else. So call now, text now, visit the website now. Again, the phone number, 877-378-8669. The text number, 44321, and text FSTV, or just visit the website at freespeech.org and make your contribution now during this program, please. If you do, there are some goodies that Free Speech TV is offering. They call them premiums in the business. With a $20 gift, you have your choice of the Free Speech TV clear sticker or the Free Speech TV bumper sticker, sticky sticker. With a $50 gift, there is the Free Speech TV tote bag. Nice canvas tote bag, comes in two different patterns. You can choose one. With a $75 gift, you have your choice of the Free Speech TV hat or the official Thom Hartmann Program Free Speech TV mug with my mug on it. It's not the world's best picture, but it's not terrible. And it's actually a couple of years old, so I guess I look better than I do right now. Anyhow, that's with the $75 gift. With a $100 gift, there's the Free Speech TV notebook and pen, which are all kind of branded and great for, like if you write poetry. I always used to have a notebook and a pen like this when I was young, when I used to write poetry. You get inspired, and I just... or you want to make notes, if you want to take notes from my show, here you go. Your Free Speech TV notebook and pen, or the Free Speech TV socks. Those are available as a premium with a $100 gift also. With a $120 gift, there is, of course, the Free Speech TV t-shirt or an autographed copy of my newest book, The Hidden History of American Healthcare, Why Sickness Bankrupts You and Makes Others Insanely Rich. And that why is like the key to the whole book. Obviously, the book is offering solutions. How do we get to single payer? How do we get to Medicare for all and all those things? But the why will shock you and your friends that you share it with. This is a book that you do want to share with other people. This is so readable. Anyhow, a $240 gift, a virtual meet and greet, $360 gift, Thom Hartmann University box, $1,000 gift. Come to Portland and hang out with us, and we'll have a good time. But you already know about all these premiums. I've been talking about them for, now this is the first day of our third week. Bottom line, Free Speech TV needs your help. Text 44321. Text FSTV to that number. Call 877-378-8669.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
And welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you. Dr. Bruce Gilley is a professor of political science at Portland State University. He has a new book out called The Last Imperialist, Sir Alan Burns' Epic Defense of the British Empire. It's actually a remarkable look at this guy's life and, basically as a colonialist, as a promoter of colonialism. And in fact, Dr. Gilley's piece, The Case for Colonialism, I read in its entirety and marked up extensively over the weekend. Dr. Gilley, welcome to the program. Your defense of colonialism, well, let me just let you first make your case. Why should we colonize third world countries?
Well, thanks, Tom. Thanks for having me on. Well, I think Today, we're in a different situation, of course, because there are countries, as you say. So to colonize a country would be to, in some ways, invade it, which you may do with their consent. I mean, we do have interventions, humanitarian interventions, and last time I checked, I think half the Lebanese population wanted the French to come back and rule Lebanon. But for the most part, that's not practical now because we have a world of sovereign nation states. Of course, at the time of the major second phase of expansion of European colonialism from 1824 till 1950s, 60s, there were no countries. So the whole term country is an anachronism. There were territories with shifting populations and shifting leaders and groups that systematically enslaved and subjugated and displaced others, and colonialism was a way to try and bring let's say, a more enlightened form of human interaction to these places. So the case for colonialism was that, having a government is better than not having a government.
So, I mean, we tried this with Afghanistan and Iraq, essentially, for 20 years. We're going to show you how to do it, right? We're going to impose our form of government on you, you poor backward people. It hasn't worked out all that well. Should California, for example, colonize Louisiana? Louisiana has, hookworm rates that are worse than many third world countries. They've got infant and maternal mortality rates that are in the toilet. Their governor over the weekend humiliating himself on television. If we're not going to go invade other countries anymore, if we learned our lesson from Afghanistan and Iraq, how about colonizing Louisiana?
Well, sure. If the people of Louisiana wanted that, they absolutely should. And if that was something that would be workable, I mean, states cooperate a lot on stuff.
So,
and if you want to call that colonialism, you can. I mean, I call it the diffusion of good governance. And the diffusion of good governance is always and everywhere a good thing, because invariably it meets with the consent of those who find that life is better under ruler A than it would have been under ruler B.
Yeah, but my objection to your piece, and I know that it was widely objected to when it was first published at Third World Quarterly. The editors eventually pulled your piece, and you and they were receiving death threats. Essentially,
they didn't pull my piece. My editorial team was receiving death threats from people who didn't seem to be able to respond to something they disagreed with other than with violence and acts of censorship and cancel culture. And because of that, their staff was getting death threats.
Right, I get that. And in pitching your book, and I'm assuming pitching your book to primarily right-wing shows, you're attacking critical race theory and saying that this is CRT is a dangerous, closed-minded ideology, and Dr. Gilley is no stranger to its consequences, et cetera. But having actually read your article and spent a fair amount of time with your book, what I'm seeing is that you are glossing over or largely completely ignoring the fact that where and when we did go into countries, and even the example that you cite repeatedly of Hong Kong and Singapore, that when we did go in and colonize these places and civilize them, and in some cases, I think you could argue, Singapore and Hong Kong were examples of societies that ultimately thrived, perhaps as a consequence of that. We did it with incredible brutality. We killed people. We forced our way into those places. We did it through warfare. And the implicit assumption that underpinned it was that Western civilization was the pinnacle of world civilization, and therefore it's our duty to impose it on everybody else. And I think that that's debatable. But B, the other subtext of colonialism is that white Europeans are the pinnacle of presumably at least cultural evolution, if not actual physical evolution, which puts a horrible racist taint on this entire project that you're proposing.
Yeah, so you'd think that Adolf Hitler would have been a big colonialist, right? But no, actually, he hated colonialism. Why? Because colonialism was the opposite of what you just said, Tom. Colonialism was based on the premise that everyone has the potential because everyone is imprinted with the same universal template to be rich, to be democratic, to be rights-abiding, to be prosperous.
Oh, come on, Bruce. We did not colonize countries that had no natural resources. Colonialism was all about getting the oil out of Nigeria, getting the gold out of Liberia.
Actually, well, why was the UK in charge of Jordan? I mean, there was not a drop of oil there. Or were there oil explorers?
Because Jordan borders the river that is or the waterway that is necessary to get the oil out of Saudi Arabia.
I see. So that's kind of reductive Marxism, right? And you can always find a reductive Marxist argument for anything. But no, colonialism spread not at gunpoint, but largely with the consent of the peoples that were colonized. If that was not the case, there's no way it would have
Or at
lasted.
least the consent of their corrupt elites.
And been there because the number of white officials on the ground was vanishingly small, roughly 1/100th of the number of officials we see in contemporary states. And, you know, you talk about violence. Well, violence is relative, Tom. I mean, what you don't pay attention to is the endemic violence in these societies before the white man showed up, because you have a very Eurocentric perspective. You're not interested in black-on-black violence or Arab-on-Arab violence.
How do you know what I'm interested in?
Or, well, because you just explained we went in there with violence, but how can you be paying attention?
We did. I was in Uganda in 1980 during the civil war against Idi Amin. I saw the tail end of British colonialism. I saw it up front and personal. I worked in the Namalo prison farm, where we had thousands of people dying of starvation every single day. You know, I'm familiar with colonialism. You have no idea about me, Dr. Gilley.
Was that the British government putting those people in prison, or was that Idi Amin putting those people in prison?
Idi Amin came out of the British government pulling out in 1956.
Oh, I see. So every bad thing that happens after colonialism is attributed to colonialism, and any good thing that happens after colonialism must be because of domestic virtue and indigenous strength. And
I didn't say either one of those two things.
So, yeah, Idi Amin is a monster, and he's a monster of African tribalism, and he was a direct
using the British system.
That the British system was thrown out of Uganda, as it was thrown out of all the countries in Africa, probably 20 or 30 years before the time was right. Now, the countries that were able to have the British system longer managed to hold on to those institutions. I pay attention to the British Caribbean, Barbados, Bermuda, Bahamas, Belize, even Jamaica, Trinidad. These places flourished. Why? Because they had a good 200, 300 years of creating those norms of British constitutionalism, the rule of law, the protection of property. It's not people from the Bahamas on our southern border trying to get over the Rio Grande this morning, Tom. It's people from Haiti. And why is that? Because they threw off the French colonial system. Now, it was a slave state, right? So clearly something new was going to need to happen there. But, you know, this is not a
because they got rid of the white people.
Story of human emancipation when you have a country like Haiti that has struggled for centuries because of its premature independence, whatever that meant, which really just meant handing over to some black elites who were able to repress.
You don't think it had anything to do with having to pay reparations to France for the loss of their slaves for nearly 100 years?
No, I don't think it did, because lots of countries have paid reparations. Germany paid reparations after World War I. It's done fine. So, no, that doesn't...
Yeah, it's a completely different thing. I mean, France drained a poor colony, a poor former colony, right up until what, the 1950s? Wasn't it that Haiti was paying reparations to France for the revolution of what, 1800 whatever it was, 1804, I forget the year.
But it's not. Yeah, you know, countries we've been shelling out money in foreign aid. That hasn't made us poor. You know, actually, it's probably made the countries we gave it to poor, and probably France should have not taken reparations because, you know, foreign aid makes you poor.
So let me figure out how this works. One of the things that you suggest is that we should consider building outposts around the world as basically demonstration projects. And correct me if I'm mischaracterizing any of this. And that Hong Kong would be an example of that. Hey, here's where the British built all the infrastructure. They built systems of government and governance, and it worked wonderfully. And now that should infect China. Obviously, it kind of worked the other way around. Although I think, you know, you would probably argue that China has adopted some of those systems from Britain. But how would this work? Is this a serious proposal?
Yeah, it actually, there's a lot of these examples around, and they don't get much attention because it's not the white man doing them. But I'll give you an example. There is a South Korean industrial zone in Bangladesh, which is now basically a small city. It's basically a South Korean colony in just north of Dhaka. It was set up by the Korean government as a kind of demonstration project. They took a huge area of land of what was former state factories that had all gone bankrupt. They took it over. They refurbished it. It has massive amounts of South Korean investment, and in it now other investment from other parts of Southeast Asia as well. It has a governance structure that is jointly run by the Korean, basically the Korean Investment Corporation, Overseas Investment Corporation. It is got schools. It's got its own security force. It's basically.
So what happens when the Koreans pull out?
Well, hopefully, when the Koreans pull out, it'll be much like what happened with the case of Shenzhen across the border from Hong Kong, which is that enough of those institutions have lasted that when the Chinese finally stopped giving that.
Shenzhen is now a police state.
Protection.
I've been there. It's a police state.
Well, I've been there too.
Yeah. Dr. Gilley, I'm sorry. We have a hard break at 18 after. I can't control it. The new book, The Last Imperialist, Sir Arthur Burns' Epic Defense of the British Empire by Dr. Bruce Gilley of Portland State University. At Bruce D. Gilley is your Twitter handle. Dr. Gilley, thanks for dropping by and talking with us.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
18 minutes past the hour. Should America start practicing imperialism? I don't think so, unless it's on Louisiana. And welcome back. Dave in New Brunswick, New Jersey. Hey, Dave, thanks for watching us on YouTube. What's on your mind?
Hey, I was calling about the Democrat question, what the Democrats need to do.
Yeah, go for it.
Basically, stop appearing weak. Stop calling the Republicans their friends. Stop having the Speaker of the House say that she wishes the Republican Party would be more organized and stronger. The people who vote for the other party look at that as weakness. They don't look at it, and then they don't start to intellectualize or hear what Democrats are saying or even take us seriously, because they're taking that as weakness. So and I think it's because of the donors. I think donors are telling Democrats to be weak, and they're telling Republicans to be strong, and it's all theater.
So you think that the donor class is trying to sabotage the Democratic Party at the same time that they're trying to support the Republican Party? Am I understanding your position correctly?
Right. Donors typically contribute to both parties, and they give different messages to each party.
Well, that's true of corporations broadly, or most corporations. But they're mostly lobbying for their own narrow interests. Comcast is giving money to Democrats and Republicans to prevent net neutrality from ever coming back again, for example. Presumably. I don't have some inside information from Comcast about that, but I know that they've lobbied over the years.
Well, if the Democrats could just forcefully argue for their policies.
Nothing wrong with that.
There was the $3.5 trillion was the compromise. So nobody should be saying that this $2 trillion.
Well, that's largely forgotten. I mean, the fact that the original proposal was $6 trillion is literally not even included in the sentences that they use in the media, which is a real tragedy. Dave, I think
that goes against that should pay a political price.
Yeah, I'm with you. Dave, thank you for the call. Jessica in Chicago. Hey, Jessica, thanks for watching Free Speech.
Hi.
What's up?
Hi, Tom. I agree with both of you. They've got to say it was $6 trillion. They've got to get that out there.
Yeah.
And, Tom, we're always on the same wavelength. The Republicans want to force these births on women that need these abortions when they have over 120 children that are orphans because both parents have died from COVID.
Is that in Texas or nationwide?
Oh, shoot. I'm sorry.
You're not sure where? Yeah.
I think it is in Texas, but I'm sorry for the last part of not having that.
No, it's all good. If you can find that stat, I have not seen that stat. If you could find it and tweet it to me, I'd love it. I'd love to have it, Jessica.
Okay, and on good news, my daughter went to Georgia and helped her girlfriend move out of Georgia and come back to the north where the sanity is.
Wow.
Yeah.
But that's one less Democratic voter in Georgia.
True, but it's a woman, and I think you're going to see a lot of women move out of the South. I really do.
Yeah, which is unfortunate. I mean, instead, I think that we need to stay and fight and take these states back. I really think that the Republican Party is shrinking so rapidly right now. People talk about, Trump's got huge popularity among the Republicans, but the number of Republicans themselves have shrunk dramatically, and I'm actually pretty optimistic about 2022. But, stories like that. Jessica, thanks for the story, and thanks for the information. And I hope you can track down that statistic, because I'd love to have it. We'll be right back. In fact, I could base a whole rant on it. We'll be right back. It's 22 minutes past the hour. Missed my opening rant today? It's usually published over at HartmannReport.com, where you can read it and share it with your friends for free. Check it out, HartmannReport.com. So Rand Paul is now echoing Louis Gohmert. Remember Louis Gohmert back in the day, back in the after 9/11, when he was talking about terror babies? There's Muslims coming to the United States to have babies who will be citizens, and we can't kick them out anymore, and then they're going to grow up and they're going to be terrorists. Yeah, and we all kind of laughed at Louis Gohmert. So now Rand Paul is talking about how the Biden administration is taking kids from down at the border who may have it, COVID, and they're plucking them up and putting them all over the United States as if they're wishing to seed the country with a new variant. Right. But that's not half of it. Then he goes on to say that, for him, quote, the bottom line for those who are saying I won't go to a restaurant unless everybody's vaccinated, he says, mind your own business. Well, Rand, it is our business. Public health is all of our businesses. I've got a whole new rant about Rand Paul's bizarre take on the public good over at ThomHartmann.com. It's a video. You can check it out there. And welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you. Dave in Federal Way, Washington. Hey, Dave, what's up?
Hey, not too much, Tom. On the two Santa theory, look, in the long run, Democrats cannot support even soft empire. That's what your last guest was talking about when he mentioned South Korea. Right. Look, Tom, it's a big topic, so I don't want to go into it. But we can't even do soft empire right now. All right, and that a lot of that's being pushed by corporations, which is my second point. We need to, in the long run, stay loyal to labor. And we have a problem in the Democratic Party. I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but it's this shareholder versus stakeholder discussion that Democrats are having. That's not right now. In the long run, we got to realize what these corporations are, and that brings me to my short-term solution. I was in Wyoming, happened to be listening to some right-wing or just local, but it was Wyoming, Tom. Mm-hmm. I mean, it tended to be right, and they were talking about cattlemen, small cattlemen are losing money off their beef, where big corporations, big ag, is making a bunch of money. And basically what they were talking about is corporate price fixing. Yep. These the Dow, you know what they're going to do. I don't buy the shareholder versus stakeholder argument. I don't buy it. So that's my 2 cents on it. Joe Biden has got to really continue to, don't lose faith. Joe Biden's doing the right thing, but he's just got to keep doing it.
I get it. I agree. Dave, thank you for the call. Steve in Lake Elsinore, California. Hey, Steve, what's up?
Hi, Tom. This morning on Marketplace, they were talking about what's causing this little bit of softening of the stock market. And what they're saying is there's a hedge fund in China that owns a lot of American real estate, and they're having a liquidity problem. Right. And if the Chinese government doesn't come in and back them up, this could cause a break, the crack in the dam. This could, because I think everybody knows.
A lot of defaults here in the United States. I think that's a big piece of it. That's the story that the press has decided to run with. But I think that the larger piece that's largely being ignored is that over the weekend and all of last week, Mitch McConnell threatened to crash the economy by refusing to raise the debt ceiling.
Oh, very much. This is a convergence of two very bad things. This is a perfect storm kind of situation.
Yeah. And they're completely ignoring McConnell and our Treasury Secretary, Janet Yellen, saying, you know, this is going to bring it all down. And the Republicans are just going full speed ahead with it. Steve, thanks for the call. You know, spot on. It's very, very interesting. We'll be right back. We'll continue with your phone calls right after this.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Call 202-808-9925.
What happens to the Republican Party when, like, you know, a significant percentage of their electorate has died or gotten really deathly sick from COVID? Exciting news. There's a brand new way that you can give to Free Speech TV. This is like making it super easy for those of you who, you know, like me, live on your cell phones or your smartphones. And that is to text to 44321 the word, it's not a word, the acronym, the letters FSTV, as in Free Speech TV. Just text FSTV to 44321. It's technically 44-321, but I just tried it and you don't need the dash. So just 44321, which is easy to remember, right? 44321. It's like this, just right in the right order and everything. Anyhow, you text FSTV to 44321, and they'll immediately text you back a link that you can click on that will pop open your browser on your phone to the very page where you can donate to Free Speech TV. And do it during this show, and you know, everything's good, right? 44321 to text FSTV to 44321. It's quick, it's easy, it's secure. You also can see on that page, you can see how much money Free Speech TV has raised so far and how far we have to go to our goal, which will give you some sense of how long this fund drive may go on before we can get back to our book readings at the top and bottom of the hour. So we are, I think, a little more than halfway to our goal, but that's, you know, we should be way ahead of here by now. This is our third week. So please call now, 877-378-8669. Go to freespeech.org right now, or if if the easiest way for you to communicate is with your cell phone, text FSTV to 44321, and it's very simple, very straightforward from there on. So that's a cool new way that the folks at Free Speech TV, the elves behind the scene who are making everything work. I have this vision of Santa's workshop somehow, and I don't know where that came from. But anyhow, the great people, there's some great people at Free Speech TV who work their butts off, honest to God, work their butts off to make this network work. Just like, frankly, we work our butts off to make this program work. There's a kind of an ethic that goes right across the board, I think, that we all share, of providing high quality, top of the line, reliable, consistent programming on multiple platforms so that a progressive message can be shared with America. And if there was ever a time that a progressive message needed to be shared with America, it's right now. I mean, it just doesn't get as bad as it has gotten recently, and now we've got this whole resurgence of Trumpism and everything else. So call now, text now, visit the website now. Again, the phone number, 877-378-8669. The text number, 44321, and text FSTV, or just visit the website at freespeech.org and make your contribution now during this program, please. If you do, there are some goodies that Free Speech TV is offering. They call them premiums in the business. With a $20 gift, you have your choice of the Free Speech TV clear sticker or the Free Speech TV bumper sticker, sticky sticker. With a $50 gift, there is the Free Speech TV tote bag. Nice canvas tote bag, comes in two different patterns. You can choose one. With a $75 gift, you have your choice of the Free Speech TV hat or the official Thom Hartmann Program Free Speech TV mug with my mug on it. It's not the world's best picture, but it's not terrible. And it's actually a couple of years old, so I guess I look better than I do right now. Anyhow, that's with the $75 gift. With a $100 gift, there's the Free Speech TV notebook and pen, which are all kind of branded and great for, like if you write poetry. I always used to have a notebook and a pen like this when I was young, when I used to write poetry. You get inspired, and I just... or you want to make notes, if you want to take notes from my show, here you go. Your Free Speech TV notebook and pen, or the Free Speech TV socks. Those are available as a premium with a $100 gift also. With a $120 gift, there is, of course, the Free Speech TV t-shirt or an autographed copy of my newest book, The Hidden History of American Healthcare, Why Sickness Bankrupts You and Makes Others Insanely Rich. And that why is like the key to the whole book. Obviously, the book is offering solutions. How do we get to single payer? How do we get to Medicare for all and all those things? But the why will shock you and your friends that you share it with. This is a book that you do want to share with other people. This is so readable. Anyhow, a $240 gift, a virtual meet and greet, $360 gift, Thom Hartmann University box, $1,000 gift. Come to Portland and hang out with us, and we'll have a good time. But you already know about all these premiums. I've been talking about them for now this is the first day of our third week. Bottom line, Free Speech TV needs your help. Text 44321. Text FSTV to that number. Call 877-378-8669. Our 1 hour free podcast recaps our show, and it's available wherever fine podcasts are found. And we have the full 3 hour podcast available over at thomhartmann.com if you want to really support our program. So we've got a new video up about the Senate Leadership Fund and the Congressional Leadership Fund, the SLF and the CLF. Nice, innocent sounding names, right? Leadership funds and Senate and Congress, but they're Republican super PACs that are taking millions and millions of dollars from fossil fuel and other dirty industries and from right-wing billionaires and recycling that money directly into the campaigns. In fact, in several cases, actually running on the ground get a vote efforts for Republican members of Congress, running the entire television operation for some of these members of Congress. Lauren Boebert received over $900,000 from the Congressional Leadership Fund so that she could take the 3rd District of Colorado. It's an amazing story. They spent $437 million just in the last election. This is poisoning this money, poisoning our democracy. It's all over at thomhartmann.com. Welcome back. I wanted to just lay out one last question/argument for you here. This over the weekend, Kyrsten Sinema is saying that the progressive strategy has been to tie the Republican Democratic collaborative bill that's got lots and lots of goodies for corporate America and tax breaks, all kinds of cool stuff. In addition to rebuilding some of our infrastructure, basically it's got about $500 billion worth of new spending over 10 years. So it's a $50 billion a year program. To tie that to the $350 billion a year program, the $3.5 trillion bill, and vote on them both at the same time. And Kyrsten Sinema in the Senate is saying nope. And now Kurt Schrader in the U.S. House, this from Politico.com, Representative Kurt Schrader, one of approximately 10, quote, moderate Democratic House members playing hardball with leadership, said he and several members of their group are on the same page as Kyrsten Sinema and all the Republicans. Some of the lawmakers have conveyed that message up the chain to leadership in the White House. A senior Democratic aide confirmed the warnings. Schrader told Playbook, this is Politico's Playbook piece, if they delay the vote or it goes down, then I think you can kiss reconciliation goodbye. Reconciliation will be dead. Which, of course, is what it's what the billionaires want. It's what the Republicans want. They do not want the Democrats to be Santa Claus. They don't want the Democrats to do anything that's going to win them votes. They don't want Joe Biden to have any successes. And so these Democrats are betraying their own party and their own president. From Kurt Schrader to Joe Manchin to Kyrsten Sinema. Why is this? Why are these Democrats betraying President Biden? And why do they continue to advocate for the filibuster, which is a betrayal of democracy? The only thing that I can think of is that they're being paid off. I mean, is there an ideological reason? If you know it, I don't. I've not, I can't see any ideology, any, smart, economic, political, structural, historical, miracle, whatever, any argument for this. So anyhow, there's that. There's Dr. Gilley on neocolonialism. There's the two Santa Claus theory. We've got a lot on the table here. Bob in Ormond Beach, Florida. Hey, Bob, what's on your mind?
Oh, hi. First, I just wanted to get into the Dr. Gilley about his take on colonialism.
Yeah.
The main thing is, and whenever you presented a counter of thought, he dealt in complete black or white. It was all or none. So when you said that we did things to the culture of the country we went into, and he goes, oh, so you're saying, no, you said what you said.
Right.
Any country that is doing colonialism goes into another country, destroys the infrastructure, the political structure, the societal and the cultural system, and rebuilds it in its own image. And then when they're forced out, the country they leave is a shell that implodes.
Typically, not always. And he's got three examples. So Singapore, Botswana, and there was another one where basically the transition when the imperialists or colonialists left, the people in whose hands they left the country made that transition. And I would love to do a deeper dive, and he doesn't in his work, as to why that might be, although I'm guessing probably his book, which I didn't read, I just skimmed it, probably gives us some clues. But, there's this larger moral question, and that is, what gives us the right to decide that our particular civilization or idea of civilization or governmental structure, for that matter, particularly now that it's so badly contaminated with neoliberalism, is the best? I mean, okay, we can put men on the moon, but, you've got a planet that's on fire. It's melting down. We're looking at the destruction of planet Earth as a consequence of our idea of the ideal civilization. Is this really what we want to spread around the world?
But I also love his defense by basically saying that he feels that intrinsically the white European civilization is the best, and we are going to deliver that to the savages.
Right. Yeah.
In this continent, the Indians had a full division of culture. I mean, many of our democratic institutions are based on things that were developed in the Indian culture.
A good chunk of the Constitution is based on the Iroquois Confederacy. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And I mean, this worldview is not just racist, but culturist, and in ways that are just breathtaking. So anyhow, thanks a lot for the call, Bob. Good points all. Larry in Richmond, Virginia. Hey, Larry, what's up?
Hey, fine, Tom. How's it going?
Good.
Tom, you're that doctor who called about the colonization, how you leave legacy institutions, and how those legacy institutions cause the country to develop into a sounder economy. So my question is, Tom, when we had federal troops at the end of the Civil War in the South, why shouldn't we have left those federal troops in the South to leave a legacy institution, and we would not be left with the wealth inequity, the pandemic that's out of control? So
that's why I asked him, should California colonize Mississippi?
So, but we had a chance. We took the federal troops out of the South.
Yeah, in 1876.
So, and it's still European powers. You had a predominant European northern, and a predominantly European southern. So you cannot argue that. So, but
right.
How can he explain that? Let's bring the troops back to the South.
Yeah, well, I can tell you that the explanation that white racists lay out, and I'm not saying that Dr. Gilley is one. I'm just saying that his arguments are embraced by them. What they would say is that the South is backwards because that's where 60% of the black population in America lives, and which is just obviously on its face BS, and another demonstration of the virulence, the deadly contagion of racism historically here in the United States, and the kind of damage that it does.
But Tom, we allowed those same leadership of the South to come back to power and negotiated their survival. So really, I think his argument is really not a sound argument.
Yeah.
Because again, had we did what he suggests, we'd still be in the South now after 100 years occupying the South, and maybe we might have brought the southern part of this country into some kind of civilization. I know that sounds very controversial.
No, I get what you're saying, Larry. But I don't think it would have taken 100 years, by the way. The Reconstruction period lasted arguably from 1866 to 1876, or early 1877, as a consequence of the election of 1876. That was less than a decade. And
less than 10 years with Rutherford B. Hayes, that's correct.
Yeah.
So we did not achieve political equity. We did not achieve political equity.
No, we did not. And that again was being animated by what I would argue is the same worldview that white people should rule and everybody should follow their example. And white people right now, by the way, are killing our planet. Larry, thank you for the call. George in Chicago. Hey, George, what's on your mind?
Hi, Tom. Excuse me. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
One quick observation about why the treasonous Democrats are betraying Joe Biden. Sounds Machiavellian, but they're not afraid of him. They're more afraid of the conservative outfits that are funding them.
Yeah, it may well be.
But Dr. Gilley's, your conversation with Dr. Gilley had my head spinning. Colonial powers left a lot of traditions and institutions in their wake that were not positive. I mean, the British invented the concept of the concentration camp in South Africa during the Boer War, and even continued it in the 1950s when Kenya was revolting against British rule. Mm-hmm. And even though technically it was not a colony, it was a British mandate, they had concentration camps in Palestine/Israel before the Israeli War of Independence. And when it comes to colonial powers, I think he probably ignored Japan. I thought of this when South Korea got mentioned near the end. In 1910, Japan conquered and colonized Korea, did everything they could to wipe out their language and culture. If you wanted to move up in life, you had to become fluent in Japanese. And during World War II, the Japanese drafted young Korean men into their military, and they fought and died all over the Pacific and Southeast Asia. And the colonialist Japanese were only too happy to kidnap over 20,000 Korean women and make them available to their troops as the euphemistically known, quote, comfort women, unquote. Why anybody would want to go back to colonialism in any form just boggles my mind.
Yeah. Well, and as I said, I mean, we look at Afghanistan. We tried our best. We spent arguably $7 trillion. The official number, I think, is $5 trillion. But that doesn't include an awful lot of money that went to contractors, an awful lot of money that just kind of stuck to the fingers of Americans and other corrupt people. So, yeah, spot on, George. I think you nailed it. It's 46 minutes past the hour. We'll continue our conversations on all these topics right after the break. Stick around.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann. Visit ThomHartmann.com for audio and video archives.
It's the place where we ask, is Walmart a person? And we say, no, not a chance. Come on, give me a break. And welcome back. Bill in Garner, Iowa. Hey, Bill, you've got a Medicare question?
Yeah, I was curious about that. I've been hearing a lot of talk about not being able to get on Medicare again, and I think one of your guests said something about that. You could get back on Medicare. You had to get a hold of the agency, Medicare, and you could get back on. But
during the October through January sign-up period.
Correct. But I was just wondering, can a person get back on Medicare and then use the Medicare Advantage plan as their Medigap?
No, it's all or nothing. You've got to buy a Medigap plan.
See.
The Medigap plans are like a key and a lock with Medicare. They were designed in the 1960s, and they still operate the same way. Medicare Advantage, on the other hand, is a completely separate thing. It's fully privatized, for-profit, typically. Not always, but it's fully privatized health insurance. Bill, I got to run, but thank you for the call. Joe in Tampa, Florida. Hey, Joe, what's up?
Hello, Mr. Hartmann. I'm calling because I have a question about the question you put up. What happens to the Republican Party?
Yeah.
I feel like they've for a long time they are using this voter suppression. I think likely because they know that the shrinking voter and their death on their believers, the suppression is like the equalizer for them.
Yeah.
And are willing to do this, I believe, so that the economy will go bad and hinder any progress for the President Biden's term.
That's correct. Republicans always try to crash the economy when there's a Democrat in the White House. They tried it with Clinton. They shut down the government twice. They tried it with Obama. Yeah. They shut down the government, and it hurt our credit rating worldwide. It caused all our interest rates to go up. It slowed down the economy. It was a terrible thing what they did to Obama, and now they're trying to do it again to Biden. And it was big news on Friday. Today I realized that there's this Chinese hedge fund that is having troubles that is influencing our market as well. But frankly, the market started slipping last week when the news came out that Mitch McConnell said that there would be not one single Republican vote to raise the debt ceiling. That was his declaration of war on this issue.
Exactly. And I believe that the Republicans and the corporations are taking over at a faster pace than before. And now they don't even need voters if they continue.
Oh, their voters.
They're killing their voters and their believers.
Yeah, and their voter suppression strategy is, Joe, it is essentially their admission, their confession that they can't get enough votes to hold power, and therefore they've got to stop people from voting. And it's a sign of a party in crisis. The Democrats are not trying to suppress the vote, and nowhere. And they haven't tried to suppress the vote since the 1960s, the Democratic Party. The Republican Party has been all about suppressing the vote ever since the Reagan Revolution, and they've gotten very aggressive about it since 2000, when Jeb Bush threw 90,000 African Americans, 97,000 African Americans off the voting rolls in Florida just in time for his brother to win an election there by 500 votes. So,
same thing happened in Georgia.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing in Georgia. And same thing in Texas. This is happening in red states all across the country. It's the only way Republicans can hold on to their power. And that's why we need to blow up the filibuster and pass, legislation that will outlaw essentially this. Joe, thank you for the call. We'll be right back. It's 10 minutes before the hour. Change starts with you. You can be calling your Democratic or Republican representatives to let them know what you think by calling 202-224-3121. It's the Capitol switchboard. It'll get you right through to them. So there are actually some substantial differences between the Taliban, the Afghanistan Taliban, the group that has, that Donald Trump signed what his Secretary of State his Defense Secretary and his National Security Advisor referred to as surrender documents to back in early 2020. There's a difference between the Taliban and ISIS, or even K-ISIS, which is how they're identifying the ISIS group that has emerged in Afghanistan. The main difference is that the Taliban's ambitions are largely confined to Afghanistan. They want to be a regional force. They were the government of Afghanistan before. They want to be the government of Afghanistan again. ISIS, on the other hand, wants to reestablish the entire caliphate across the Middle East, across Northern Africa, across parts of Southern Europe. And this is going to bring these two into conflict. I've got a whole video about this over at thomhartmann.com for folks who support the program. Check it out. And we'll welcome back Errol in North Carolina, in Raleigh, North Carolina. Hey, Errol, what's on your mind today?
Hey, Tom, how you doing? First time caller, long time listener.
Thank you, Errol. Can you get your mouth closer to the microphone of your phone, please?
Oh, hold on.
Oop, Errol just hung up. This is the problem. It's people try to do this, but Eleanor in New York City. Hey, Eleanor, what's up?
No, this is Elmore.
Oh, Elmore. I'm sorry. I just glanced at it. My apologies, Elmore.
It's okay. No, I'd like to make two more tiny comments about Dr. Gilley's presentation today.
Please.
The first one is that, the history of European colonialism is one of, wanting other people's resources, thinking that you can't do without them and don't care to pay for them.
Yep.
And
as I pointed out to him. Yes.
Exactly. And do you know the documentary Exterminate All the Brutes by Raoul Peck?
I do not.
It is on HBO. It's about this whole subject matter. It's a brilliant, brilliant documentary on HBO. Exterminate All the Brutes. A four-part series, and I would recommend that to your audience.
Okay. Elmore, thank you. Thank you very much for the call. Yeah, good talking to you.
Bye.
I do appreciate it. Victor in Salem, Oregon. Hey, Victor, what's on your mind today?
I think the Democratic Party needs to run a national ad, something really simple, like Republicans have said no to stopping the pandemic. Republicans have said no to climate change. And now Republicans want to stop the economy. Just something short and sweet and to the point.
Yep.
And that would, as far as the market always has a correction this time of the year. So this is a natural, normal market cycle.
Yeah, I'm not particularly freaked out about
October,
it. The Dow's down 700 points, but, that happens.
Yeah, and plus the Wall Street people have already said that they were going to make a big correction sometime.
Oh, they've been signaling this for a month.
Yeah, exactly. So it shouldn't be a surprise to anybody.
Yeah, I'm completely with you. Thank you very much for the call, Victor. Martin in Seattle. Hey, Martin, what's up?
Yeah, hi, Tom. I had a question and just one little comment. I know you like to find wonder in nature. There's a gentleman you should look up named Tristan Gilley. One of his books is called How to Read Water. He does have a website as well, so it'd probably be interesting. Maybe you can have him on as a guest.
How to read water?
Yeah, just what you can learn just by reading water. And also he does just how to read the land and what that means. And
these are books about the wonders of nature, essentially.
Yep.
Yeah, cool. Okay. Is that what you call about, Martin?
No, my question was that, climate change is going to cause places to become uninhabitable, probably first in the South and Southwest, where a lot of Republicans live. I was wondering if you knew anyone who could maybe come on as a guest about that and talk about the intersection of these two problems. People are going to obviously migrate out of the South. They're going to have to.
I think it's already happening. I think it started out of New Orleans after Katrina, and now there are large chunks of Louisiana right now that probably will not be built back up after Hurricane, what was it, Ida, as I recall?
Yeah, and probably West Virginia too, with all the mining that's going on there.
Yeah, it's left a lot of poison, and Joe Manchin took a lot of money out of that one. He made $500,000 last year off coal.
It would be interesting to see how that migration is playing out and who's actually migrating.
And to where?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I agree with you that climate change is destroying the South. It's also changing substantially the West, what's happening is that, Central and Northern California is turning into kind of desert like Southern California. Most people don't realize Los Angeles is built on a desert. Pardon?
It's going to be one big sandbox.
Yeah, and there are ways to build around that, but LA is built on a desert, and without the river water coming to Los Angeles, and there are questions how long that's going to last, LA is going to be in big trouble. And here in Oregon, we're seeing that we're basically becoming like Central California. Louise and I on our walk this morning, there was a big chunk of this tree just fell off. The tree is wilting. And it's not, the end of the year, the leaves are turning. No, this is still heat shock from 116 degrees for 3 days back in June or July. I think it was in June. Martin, thank you for the call. It's a tough one. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann.
These companies support the Thom Hartmann Program. They are HelloFresh, the #1 meal kit delivery service. More information at HelloFresh.com, code TOM. CB Distillery for sleeping and pain relief. More info at cbdistillery.com, code TOM. Dinovite, only the best all-natural pet supplements. More info at dinovite.com. Annie's Kit Clubs, creativity delivered right to your door. More info at annieskitclubs.com/Tom. Wild Alaskan Company, delicious, sustainably sourced seafood delivered right to your door. More information at wildalaskancompany.com/Tom. And Mack Weldon, reinventing men's basics. More info at mackweldon.com/Tom.
We say fight back!
Exciting news. There's a brand new way that you can give to Free Speech TV. This is like making it super easy for those of you who, like me, live on your cell phones or your smartphones. And that is to text to 44321 the word, it's not a word, the acronym, the letters FSTV, as in Free Speech TV. Just text FSTV to 44321. It's technically 44-321, but I just tried it and you don't need the dash. So just 44321, which is easy to remember, right? 44321. It's like this, just right in the right order and everything. Anyhow, you text FSTV to 44321, and they'll immediately text you back a link that you can click on that will pop open your browser on your phone to the very page where you can donate to Free Speech TV. And do it during this show, and everything's good, right? 44321 to text FSTV to 44321. It's quick, it's easy, it's secure. You also can see on that page, you can see how much money Free Speech TV has raised so far and how far we have to go to our goal, which will give you some sense of how long this fund drive may go on before we can get back to our book readings at the top and bottom of the hour. So we are, I think, a little more than halfway to our goal, but that's, we should be way ahead of here by now. This is our third week. So please call now, 877-378-8669. Go to freespeech.org right now, or if the easiest way for you to communicate is with your cell phone, text FSTV to 44321, and it's very simple, very straightforward from there on. So that's a cool new way that the folks at Free Speech TV, the elves behind the scene who are making everything work. I have this vision of Santa's workshop somehow, and I don't know where that came from. But anyhow, the great people, there's some great people at Free Speech TV who work their butts off, honest to God, work their butts off to make this network work. Just like, frankly, we work our butts off to make this program work. There's a kind of an ethic that goes right across the board, I think, that we all share, of providing high quality, top of the line, reliable, consistent programming on multiple platforms so that a progressive message can be shared with America. And if there was ever a time that a progressive message needed to be shared with America, it's right now. I mean, it just doesn't get as bad as it has gotten recently, and now we've got this whole resurgence of Trumpism and everything else. So call now, text now, visit the website now. Again, the phone number, 877-378-8669. The text number, 44321, and text FSTV, or just visit the website at freespeech.org and make your contribution now during this program, please. If you do, there are some goodies that Free Speech TV is offering. They call them premiums in the business. With a $20 gift, you have your choice of the Free Speech TV clear sticker or the Free Speech TV bumper sticker, sticky sticker. With a $50 gift, there is the Free Speech TV tote bag. Nice canvas tote bag, comes in two different patterns. You can choose one. With a $75 gift, you have your choice of the Free Speech TV hat or the official Thom Hartmann Program Free Speech TV mug with my mug on it. It's not the world's best picture, but it's not terrible. And it's actually a couple of years old, so I guess I look better than I do right now. Anyhow, that's with the $75 gift. With a $100 gift, there's the Free Speech TV notebook and pen, which are all kind of branded and great for, like if you write poetry. I always used to have a notebook and a pen like this when I was young, when I used to write poetry. You get inspired, and I just... or you want to make notes, if you want to take notes from my show, here you go. Your Free Speech TV notebook and pen, or the Free Speech TV socks. Those are available as a premium with a $100 gift also. With a $120 gift, there is, of course, the Free Speech TV t-shirt or an autographed copy of my newest book, The Hidden History of American Healthcare, Why Sickness Bankrupts You and Makes Others Insanely Rich. And that why is like the key to the whole book. Obviously, the book is offering solutions. How do we get to single payer? How do we get to Medicare for all and all those things? But the why will shock you and your friends that you share it with. This is a book that you do want to share with other people. This is so readable. Anyhow, a $240 gift, a virtual meet and greet, $360 gift, Thom Hartmann University box, $1,000 gift. Come to Portland and hang out with us, and we'll have a good time. But you already know about all these premiums. I've been talking about them for now this is the first day of our third week. Bottom line, Free Speech TV needs your help. Text 44321. Text FSTV to that number. Call 877-378-8669. And not because we have answers, but because staying silent is not who we are. How to Be Less Stupid About Race by Crystal Fleming.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Welcome back to the third hour of our program. On the line with us is Dr. Anna Malinow. Dr. Malinow is a professor of pediatrics at the University of California, San Francisco, the former president of Physicians for a National Health Program, PNHP.org, an organization I know well. I was their keynote speaker, 15 years ago, thereabouts, where they had a big national annual meeting in Seattle, as I recall. The Twitter handle is @PNHP. And Dr. Malinow, welcome to the program. You have a webinar coming up on September 23rd at 9 p.m. Eastern Time with Congresswoman Katie Porter and others talking about DCEs, direct contracting entities. This is a scheme that this right-wing think tank, the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Innovation, came up with. I had never heard of these, and I thought I was well informed about this stuff. Tell us about this.
Well, you're absolutely right. First of all, thank you so much for having me on your show. It's a pleasure to be here. And you're right. This is an under-the-radar program that many of us have been working on this for years and years, don't know about. So what are DCEs, direct contracting entities? To talk about direct contracting entities, you first need to talk a little bit about Medicare and, more importantly, about Medicare Advantage, which, as you recently wrote, is $1 trillion ripoff. That was a great article, by the way, Tom.
Thank you.
Medicare Advantage, to many people, especially young people, is boring, but everyone needs to pay attention. Medicare Advantage started the serious privatization of Medicare for seniors, and DCEs will hammer the final nail in the coffin of Medicare by completely privatizing it. So for all of us who are out there clamoring for Medicare for all, if private insurance companies and investor-owned private equity firms have their way, there won't be any Medicare left to march for. So we need to.
So how does it work? What is a direct
that.
Contracting entity?
Okay, so what is it exactly? So to talk just a tiny bit about Medicare Advantage so that we can juxtapose what DCEs are, which is basically very, very little difference between them. About 40% of seniors, as you know, have chosen these commercial insurance plans to manage their Medicare. But 3 decades of evidence, as you have written, have shown us the dangers of relying on private insurers to protect the elderly and the disabled. So all evidence points against using this multi-billion-dollar health industry to improve outcomes and save money, which are obviously made there to make money. But evidence is no match for profit. So just think about it. In 2019, the Medicare budget was $800 billion, and by 2025, it's projected to be $1.2 trillion. So if you figure that about 40% of seniors have signed up on a Medicare Advantage plan, that means that private insurance companies get $320 billion, but they leave $480 billion on the table, right? That's money that goes to pay for fee for service, which is Medicare giving money to providers and hospitals directly without that middleman. And at this rate, in 2025, private insurance companies will be getting about $480 billion, but leaving the $720 billion on the table. But what if someone came up with this plan to sucker the 60% of seniors that have not chosen Medicare Advantage to be assigned, often without their knowledge or consent, to a Medicare Advantage-like program? And this would allow the private insurance companies to take over $1 trillion. Now that's profit, and that's exactly what DCEs will do.
So are you suggesting, Dr. Malinow, that I'm on Medicare, and I've been on Medicare for 5 years, along with a Medigap policy, that one day I might just get a letter in the mail that says, hey, Tom, thanks a lot for being on Medicare and Medigap policy, but we have decided to move you to a brand new Medicare Advantage plan, provided by this wonderful health insurance company, XYZ. And you can't do anything about it. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, pretty much. It was a program that was started under this thing called the Global Professional Direct Contracting Entities Model under the Trump administration with a purpose to privatize Medicare. And the Biden administration, instead of putting an end to this terrible Trump scheme that will hurt seniors and endanger Medicare, is not just pursuing it, but injecting it with steroids. So you're absolutely right. Really? So what are these DCEs? So the performance period started January of this year, and as of April 1st of this year, there were 53 direct contracting entities operating in 43 states and in D.C. Now, it has been very difficult to identify the parent companies or the owners of every DCE, but it appears that of the 53 DCEs, 28 are investor-owned or investor-controlled, and of the 28, 6 are insurer-based. And 25 appear to be provider-based and controlled. But as an aside, the 6 insured DCEs operate in 19 states with 57% of the entire fee-for-service population. So these insurance companies know exactly where to target, right, where the fee-for-service beneficiaries are, where they don't have Medicare Advantage. But let's talk a minute about these investor-owned DCEs. Do we really think that they have seniors' health as part of their return on investment? DCEs are a goldmine to them. These are short-term investors that will focus on driving revenue higher and then exiting the market because that's their history. That's what they do. In effect, this GPDC model replaces provider control with Wall Street control over the healthcare of millions of seniors on Medicare.
So how do we stop these, Dr. Malinow?
Well, yeah, how do you do that? So for one, we have to understand that these DCEs are no different from Medicare Advantage. Right? Yeah, they call themselves something different. But one other part that is different from Medicare Advantage is how you sign up these seniors on DCE. So how is it that you are going to get onto a DCE when you have deliberately and specifically chosen to be on traditional Medicare, right? I mean, that's the key question. Well, as a doctor, I think the most nefarious aspect of this model is how seniors are going to be assigned to these DCEs. So again, these are seniors like you that have specifically chosen not to enroll in a private insurance plan under Medicare. So how do you get people who have chosen traditional Medicare on a non-traditional Medicare Advantage-like plan? Well, you don't really tell them. You lure the primary care doctors to participate in the DCE by promising them much better Medicare reimbursement rates. And once doctors sign up to participate on a DCE, all their patients are automatically aligned, right, not assigned, aligned by CME with the DCE the doctor has chosen. So you send the patient a letter like you're going to get in the mail or on the internet. They're likely not going to read or understand, and presto, you suddenly have 31 million seniors previously on traditional Medicare under a DCE. And that's how you finally and fully privatize
so
Medicare.
So my doctor makes the decision for me?
It leverages the doctor-patient relationship and basically monetizes it for the profit of corporations.
And my doctor has the power to say to me, you are no longer on Medicare, you are now on this DCE Medicare Advantage kind of program?
Pretty much.
Do I have to? Do I have the ability to refuse?
You do. You do have the option. You do have the option, but if you don't read that letter, you might never know that you're on the DCE until it's time.
And if I do refuse, my doctor may say, "Well, these guys are spiffing me, and you don't want to go along with it, so screw you. I'm not your doctor anymore," right?
Hopefully not. Hopefully not. Hopefully your doctor is better than that. But yes, the doctors are being lured to sign up on these DCEs. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I know. So that's like, as a physician, I think that really undermines our professionalism. So you asked what the solution is. Well, part of the solution is being aware and also knowing a little bit about the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Innovation that you talked about initially, the CMMI, right? That, as you probably know, but not very many people know, was created by the Affordable Care Act to test payment and service delivery models. And their mandate really is just to do two things, right? To reduce program expenditures and hopefully, while they're doing it, not worsen care. They don't necessarily have to improve care. They just can't worsen it. And to fulfill this mandate, Congress appropriated CMMI $20 billion at the beginning of the ACA, and it actually allows the Secretary of Health and Human Services the authority to issue regulation without congressional action, okay, that could expand any CMMI model that fulfills this paltry criteria into the full Medicare program. And think about it, no congressional oversight on models the CMMI chooses to promote, and that's how the DCE is.
And is CMMI, I thought it was a right-wing think tank. You're saying it's a federal agency. Is it stacked with Trump people now?
Well, it's not a think tank. It is not. I thought that you were sort of being sort of flowery in your language. It is not.
No, I misunderstood. I didn't realize that it was a federal entity created by Obamacare, essentially.
By the ACA, exactly.
Yeah, so who's running this
under
thing?
CMS.
And the answer to this, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Liz Fowler.
And she answers to who?
To CMS, and that would be the Secretary Becerra. Right. So, yes. So in the past 10 years, CMMI has actually invested in 54 models, only 5 of which have shown any promise. And most recently, a former director of the CMMI wrote that the vast majority of, and this is a quote, a vast majority of models have not saved money, with several on pace to lose billions of dollars, and the majority of models do not show significant improvements in quality. So by their own admission, the CMMI models are not working. Nevertheless, it can be rolled out. Any model, such as the DCEs, could be rolled out to the entire Medicare. And, I think basically what's wrong with the CMMI is that they believe that the reason U.S. healthcare costs are so high compared to other countries is due to physician greed and Americans getting too much health care. And so to address this, what do they do? Well, they squeeze physicians, right, by making them sign up on these the capitated schemes and risk schemes, such as DCEs are, or by squeezing patients. And the way that they squeeze patients, us, right, is to lower our care by increasing deductibles, premiums, coinsurance, and copays, right? That's sort of their mindset. When we know that's not how you're going to decrease costs.
Dr. Malinow, we're going to hit a hard break here that I can't control in about 25 seconds.
Okay.
What's your call for action? What can people do?
So the first thing is become aware. Attend the webinar on September 23rd. This is a winnable fight. To be a Medicare activist these days can be very, very disillusioning. It's very hard, but this is a fight that we can win if we organize and we push. We have an end to end. We have a way to end this. So I do hope activists will send a message to President Biden and his administration that we want to keep Medicare public and nonprofit. Thank you.
So go to PNHP, as in Physicians National Health Program, for a national health program, pnhp.org, and sign up. Dr. Anna Malinow, thank you so much for dropping by. It's great talking with you.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. Bye-bye.
Yep.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
We'll be right back, 18 minutes past the hour. That was pretty shocking. Stick around. And welcome back. Jackie in Port Orchard, Washington. Hey, Jackie, thanks for listening to KBCS. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I just want to warn people about signing online petitions and to slow down. Don't do what I did yesterday. Sometimes these petition platforms send out a slew of petitions all in one email. Mm-hmm. And I trusted this particular platform because all their petitions are always worthwhile, progressive and, But in a hurry, I kept pressing sign to get through them all. Mm-hmm. But just after quickly signing a certain petition, I realized what I signed. Protect Medicare Advantage.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I don't know if you want me to say what platform it was.
That's fine.
Online. Okay, CARE2, C-A-R-E, numeral 2.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm not going to sign any of their stuff anymore.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Just a warning. So anyway, Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. Thanks for the heads up on that. Bill in Woodwright, Illinois. Hey, Bill, what's on your mind today?
Yeah, Tom, I think the Democrats need to reframe their $3.5 trillion over 10 years down to $3.5 billion per year, which is half the defense budget.
$350 billion a year. Yeah, yeah, you're right. And they need to, but for. I was going to say for some people, I think it's probably most Americans literally don't understand the difference between $1 billion and $1 trillion.
But they understand the defense budget.
I don't think so. I think if you were to walk up to 20 people on the street and say, do you have any idea what the defense budget was last year? Was it more than $700 billion? Was it less than $100 billion? Was it more than $3 trillion? They couldn't even do multiple choice. And 350 sounds bigger than 3.5. I'm serious.
I guess, but okay.
So I could be wrong, but my guess is that's probably part of the reason why the Democrats are messaging this as $3.5 trillion over 10 years. Rather than $350 billion a year for 10 years, is because for a lot of people, 350 sounds bigger than 3.5.
Okay, well, I've been with you since your first day on IE America, so
wow,
I'll take your word for it.
Well, thank you, Bill. Thank you very much. That's 18 years. Wow.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. I appreciate the call. And you know, I might be wrong on this. You know, I think that for, you know, among informed, intelligent, thoughtful, informed is the major word there, voters, they get it that $350 billion is 1/10 of $3.5 trillion, and therefore less money. But I just, you know, H.L. Mencken famously said, no one ever failed to get rich underestimating the intelligence of the average American, or words to that effect. Maybe underestimating the intelligence of the American electorate. And I think Donald Trump has done his very best to prove H.L. Mencken right. I mean, I got another one today. I mean, just an hour ago, I got an email from Donald Trump saying, I want you to come to my rally in Georgia, and I'm ready to pay for your airfare, and I'm ready to put you up at a hotel. I would be surprised if, by the way, nobody ever wins, right? But all you have to do to win is just simply make a donation of any amount today. And, of course, the little check boxes are pre-checked that say, give me this every month. Oh, and by the way, add $50. They're all pre-checked. It's crazy. The guy is a flim-flam artist, and he's still out there doing it. We'll be back. Hey, thanks so much for sharing our program and for reaching out to our stations and sponsors and letting them know that you're listening. It really means a lot to us. So for this week's special video, for the supporters of our program that we put up over at ThomHartmann.com, I stepped into the Wayback Machine, and it's really remarkable when you go back over what President Obama accomplished and the Democrats in the House of Representatives and in the Senate, what they accomplished between 2008 and 2010 when they controlled Congress and the White House versus everything that the Republicans blocked. I mean, the Democrats in those 2 years, they saved Chrysler, they saved General Motors, they turned 800,000 monthly job losses into job gains. They increased spending and education spending, decreased the cost of student loans, all kinds of great stuff. But then when the Republicans took over, they blocked a veterans job bill, they blocked Wall Street reform, they blocked immigration reform, they blocked political ad disclosure. And this is just a little tip of the iceberg. You can see the whole video over at ThomHartmann.com. So all jokes aside, there actually is a talking duck. Every day, Louise and I, we walk along the Columbia River here, and there's lots of ducks and geese, and we often talk to them. None of them have talked back to us yet, but a Dutch scientist, this from Reuters, has uncovered old recordings of a musk duck. Now, most of what we see are mallards or grebes, but anyhow, the musk duck mimicking the phrase, "You bloody fool!" And he learned it when he was raised by humans in an Australian bird park. This duck is named Ripper. Ten Kate, who published his findings in the Netherlands Philosophical Transactions of the Royal Society Biological Research Journal, said, it's definitely based on the human voice, even though the pronunciation is a bit odd, which might be the Australian accent. Gee, you think? I can't even do an Australian accent. This duck could also make the noise of the sound of a door closing and a latch clicking. Very cool. We all know that some kinds of birds can do this sort of thing. Most famously the parrots, right? But ducks, hey, we've got a whole new project now when we're taking our walks. Anyhow, back to your calls. Bob in Raleigh, North Carolina. Hey, Bob, what's on your mind today?
Hey, Tom, how you doing?
Good. What's up?
I tell you what, I learned just in the time I called in to the different topics that were going on. But first and foremost, just want to shout out to you and to Free Speech TV. Have given again and have joined as a continuing sponsor.
Well, thank you, Bob.
Especially for this one gentleman who wrote this neat book about healthcare. I'm looking forward to reading that.
Thanks, but we're down to like 45 seconds now. So your point.
Okay. The key point is this, and that is back to the professor, and I'm thinking about with Greg Palast, the horrible things that went on with the experiment of Milton Friedman and in Chile with Pinochet, and the brutality of not applying the libertarian methodology enough, which meant hundreds of thousands of lives in those desaparecidos down there. And it just, how he was very cavalier. I mean, I think
happened in Russia too.
Yes, absolutely. But the disassociation that when you bring up real lives of real people have consequences, I think he just didn't want to hear it. But thank you for voicing those things.
Yeah, you're welcome, Bob. Thanks for listening to the program, and yeah, spot on. I you know, it's so easy to cherry pick your data. Bob, thank you. I do appreciate the call. And I'm just astonished, particularly after 20 years in Afghanistan, that there's even a discussion in America about recolonizing parts of the world. Really?
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Call 202-808-9925.
Your call's up next for the next half hour. 202-808-9925. We'll be right back. Exciting news. There's a brand new way that you can give to Free Speech TV. This is like making it super easy for those of you who, you know, like me, live on your cell phones or your smartphones. And that is to text to 44321 the word, it's not a word, the acronym, the letters FSTV, as in Free Speech TV. Just text FSTV to 44321. It's technically 44-321, but I just tried it. You don't need the dash. So just 44321, which is easy to remember, right? 44321. It's like this, just right in the right order and everything. Anyhow, you text FSTV to 44321, and they'll immediately text you back a link that you can click on that will pop open your browser on your phone to the very page where you can donate to Free Speech TV. And do it during this show, and you know, everything's good, right? 44321 to text FSTV to 44321. It's quick, it's easy, it's secure. You also can see on that page, you can see how much money Free Speech TV has raised so far and how far we have to go to our goal, which will give you some sense of how long this fund drive may go on before we can get back to our book readings at the top and bottom of the hour. So we are, I think, a little more than halfway to our goal, but that's, you know, we should be way ahead of here by now. This is our third week. So please call now, 877-378-8669. Go to freespeech.org right now, or if the easiest way for you to communicate is with your cell phone, text FSTV to 44321, and you know, it's very simple, very straightforward from there on. So that's a cool new way that the folks at Free Speech TV, the elves behind the scene who are making everything work. I have this vision of Santa's workshop somehow, and I don't know where that came from. But anyhow, the great people, there's some great people at Free Speech TV who work their butts off, honest to God, work their butts off to make this network work. Just like, frankly, we work our butts off to make this program work. There's a kind of an ethic that goes right across the board, I think, that we all share, of providing high quality, top of the line, reliable, consistent programming on multiple platforms so that a progressive message can be shared with America. And if there was ever a time that a progressive message needed to be shared with America, it's right now. I mean, it just doesn't get as bad as it has gotten recently, and now we've got this whole resurgence of Trumpism and everything else. So call now, text now, visit the website now. Again, the phone number, 877-378-8669. The text number, 44321. And text FSTV, or just visit the website at freespeech.org. and make your contribution now during this program, please. If you do, there are some goodies that Free Speech TV is offering. They call them premiums in the business. With a $20 gift, you have your choice of the Free Speech TV clear sticker or the Free Speech TV bumper sticker, sticky sticker. With a $50 gift, there is the Free Speech TV tote bag. Nice canvas tote bag, comes in two different patterns. You can choose one. With a $75 gift, you have your choice of the Free Speech TV hat or the official Thom Hartmann Program Free Speech TV mug with my mug on it. It's not the world's best picture, but it's not terrible. And it's actually a couple of years old, so I guess I look better than I do right now. Anyhow, that's with the $75 gift. With a $100 gift, there's the Free Speech TV notebook and pen, which are all kind of branded and great for, like if you write poetry. I always used to have a notebook and a pen like this when I was young, when I used to write poetry. You get inspired, and I just, or you want to make notes, if you want to take notes from my show, here you go. Your Free Speech TV notebook and pen, or the Free Speech TV socks. Those are available as a premium with a $100 gift also. With a $120 gift, there is, of course, the Free Speech TV t-shirt or an autographed copy of my newest book, The Hidden History of American Healthcare, Why Sickness Bankrupts You and Makes Others Insanely Rich. And that why is like the key to the whole book. Obviously, the book is offering solutions. How do we get to single payer? How do we get to Medicare for all and all those things? But the why will shock you and your friends that you share it with. This is a book that you do want to share with other people. This is so readable. Anyhow, a $240 gift, a virtual meet and greet, $360 gift, Thom Hartmann University box, $1,000 gift. Come to Portland and hang out with us, and we'll have a good time. But you already know about all these premiums. I've been talking about them for now this is the first day of our third week. Bottom line, Free Speech TV needs your help. Text 44321. Text FSTV to that number. Call 877-378-8669. Share the Thom Hartmann Program with your friends. We're available on SiriusXM, Free Speech TV, Pacifica, commercial stations nationwide, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, on the Thom Hartmann app, and you can even tell your smart speaker to listen to the Thom Hartmann Program. The media is pushing this crazy narrative that with regard to masks and vaccines and COVID and all this kind of stuff, that America is divided. Like, half of us want masks and half of us don't, or half of us want vaccines. It's just not true. 75% of Americans have received at least one dose of vaccine. 70% of Americans think that we should have mask mandates in all of our schools. Only 17%, this is from the latest Pew studies, polling, only 17% of Americans are opposed to mask mandates in schools. And what we have is this tiny fringe that is being cranked. Now we're learning from China as well as from Russia and perhaps other countries, plus the people in, a relatively small number of people, Trump followers, who think that tearing the country apart is a good thing and somehow it'll hurt Joe Biden and hurt the Democrats in the next election. It's crazy. I got a whole video rant about this over at ThomHartmann.com that you can check out. And welcome back. 35 minutes past the hour. It's Thom Hartmann here with you and Mark in Portland. Hey, Mark, what's up?
Hey, Tom, I just heard your interview with the woman with the PNHP organization and critiquing the Medicare Advantage plans and the continued privatization of our health care. And I went to put PNHP.org in my URL, but the server was down. So then I put Google up there. And as soon as I hit Google and I put PNHP in the search engine, the first thing that pops up is 2021 Medicare Advantage plans. Enroll online 24/7.
Wow. So the Medicare Advantage purveyors are buying ads on Google and using PNHP as one of the keywords that will trigger the ad.
Yep. The first ad right underneath PNHP, that was the ad. And that's going to confuse people, seniors, and everything to enroll in privatizing the industry even more. So,
of course,
buyer beware.
I was shocked to hear it's up to 40%. I've been saying 30, 33. Back when I was writing the book 2 years ago, The Hidden History of American Healthcare, it was in the 30s. Now it's apparently 40%, according to Dr. Malinow.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
And a side note, I did call Kurt Schrader's office, and I talked to in D.C., and I talked to a gentleman who's very nice, and I said, look, I'm really confused as to why he's not siding with Biden's $3.5 trillion plan, which I think is very reasonable. And he said, well, there's a few things in there that he'll and he said, well, just send me an email. So he's going to send me an email, I guess Schrader will, and he'll explain why he's. So if I get that, I'll let you know. I'll call you back and say what he says.
Yeah.
But,
well, good on you for calling him. Does he represent you, or are you represented by Earl Blumenauer?
Well, I'm right on the border, so it's
right.
It's so kind of Blumenauer is my rep, but I said I was in Clackamas County sometime. So anyway, hopefully I'll get a message back and he'll explain his position. I mean, I actually campaigned for him back in 2009 because the Republican was just so repulsive.
Yeah.
And so I actually did some phone banking for him, and now it's like, oh my God, man, it's just it's just.
This is one of those situations that you have to be dealt with in a primary venue rather than the general.
Well, he should get primaried, I think. We'll see what happens. But anyway.
Well, there was an attempt to primary him in the last election, and it was, normally on this program, I never have primary candidates on because I've been burned a couple of times by doing it, and because I don't live in those districts and I don't know enough about them. And, I put a primary candidate on, and then it turns out that one of the other primary candidates is just as good or even better, or has a better chance of winning or whatever. And so I just, our policy now is we will put people on, challengers. We will put Democratic challengers on who have won primaries. But the single exception to that was the mayor of one of the little towns here, Milwaukee, I think. Was it Milwaukee, Sean? Yeah, the mayor of Milwaukee, which is a little kind of almost a suburban town of Portland, who was running against Schrader in the primary, and I put him on the air twice because I just like we've watched Schrader now for a couple of terms, and it's like, okay, this guy is well, whatever.
He's not progressive.
Yeah. So, but the mayor of Milwaukee was a nice guy, but he was a really weak candidate, and I'm hoping that a strong primary candidate will come along. If not, then hey, I would vote for Schrader too, just because he's a Democrat, which is a tough one, but there it is. Mark, I got to run, but thank you for the call. Boy, what a day, huh? Roger in Chicago. Hey, Roger, what's up?
Hey, Tom. It's good talking to you. I listened to your previous guest, the one that was talking about the DCE thing. And I just wanted to say that that's happened to me here in Chicago. I'm with a physician, and my physician sold out his practice to a large medical group of 900 physicians. And about a year later, my physician basically said I was going to be switched to this DCE program. I got a lot of glossy email and everything. Fortunately, I read the fine print. I was able to opt out of it, but it appears to be spreading rapidly.
Wow. Okay, Roger, bad news, but thanks for informing us. And,
people need to really watch what they get in the mail from their doctors, and they made it sound very inviting, I do have to say. They made a lot of great promises. But, so I thought I'd let your listeners know.
Okay, Roger, thanks for that heads up. Watch your mail. Alejandro in Miami. Hey, Alejandro, what's up?
Oh, Tom, I was just surprised to hear that your earlier guest, Dr. Gilley, say that colonialism, imperialism was a good thing. I'm like, what? Is this the 19th?
Well, tame the savages. That's their shtick.
It's such nonsense because colonialism is inherently exploitative.
It is savage itself.
It's savage, right? How are you going to convince me you're going to come and conquer people without their consent and tell me it's a good thing? I mean, that's kind of dumb, in my opinion. And I just wanted to offer an example of that. For example, we talked about, I don't know if he talked about this in his book, but the Aztecs, for example, Mexicans, how they see the Spaniards. Let me explain it to you. I went to a museum in Mexico City many years ago. My family lineage, my mom's Mexican, my dad is Cuban, right? So I went to the Museum of Mexico many years ago as a child to Mexico City, and the way they depicted, obviously, the Spanish conquering them was a bad thing. They did not see it as a positive because to the Mexicans, the Spaniards or the foreigners who came to conquer their native land, and so they identified more with the Aztecs, that they were the victimized, they were colonized. So while, yes, they appreciate the fusion of culture between the Spanish and Mexican culture, obviously you have good cuisine and all these other, good cultural things that derive from that. Just because you get some benefits from colonialism doesn't mean the whole idea of colonialism is a good idea. It's still a bad idea. It started with violence. And just let me give you a historical context. With Hernan Cortez, when he went to Mexico, that was even illegal under the Spanish crown. He was told specifically by the Spanish governor in Cuba, do not go to Mexico. You're not authorized to go there. So already when he sent his expedition there, his expedition to Yucatan, that was already an illegal move. And then months later, the Spanish crown obviously found out about that and sent a force to kind of intercept him and stop him from trying to go rogue, trying to colonize new places. And then, of course, Cortez, outsmarted that army that was trying to come to, conquer, to beat him, and forced them to join his conquest of the Aztecs. So, and the fact that, and of course with the Aztecs, of course the Spaniards were very smart, like other Europeans, of exploiting intertribal rivalries. How do they do that? The Aztecs were a big empire in that region, and they subjugated many, towns and cities like Yucatan, where in Doña Maria, the Indian from Yucatan, was one of the Mayan tribes there. They exploited hey, they're subjugating me. You guys are going to help me out, right? Okay, let's go kick some Aztec butt. So the Spaniards only won because they had thousands of Native American allies who had a lot of beef with the Aztecs. So, of course, they stood to benefit from that. But at the end of the day, all they did was exchange one colonial master for another. So what did they really, except maybe some Indian elites like certain Indian chiefs who were their allies, of course, benefited from that arrangement, but not the Aztecs. They were screwed. They were slaughtered. They had even a smallpox outbreak. Of course, wiped out the city before the Spanish. Well, like during the whole conquest of there was like a 2-year process where the Spaniards trying to conquer the clan, and of course, smallpox came in for the assist to help them, subjugate the city. So the Europeans have the biological warfare along with the regular warfare to win against the unconquered peoples.
Yeah, it's astonishing, Alejandro. Back in 1980, Dick Gregory was on the board of directors of the children's home that Louise and I started up in New Hampshire, and the black comedian. And he and I were flying to Uganda. Actually, we were flying to Germany on this leg. We were on our way to Germany. And it was the middle of the night. We were wide awake. We were sitting here, we just had dinner. We were drinking a glass of wine. And we were talking about colonialism and what was going on in Uganda, where we were going to end up. And he turns to me and he says, I don't understand why America always thinks they have to run around the world trying to shove democracy down people's throats at the barrel of a gun. And then he pauses for a minute and he says, when you got something good, you don't have to force it on people. They will steal it. And I think that's the point, is that, self-determination is pretty important stuff. And there's going to be, evil people who rise up and take over countries. And, occasionally we might want to think about intervening, but be careful what you ask for. I mean, look at country after country where, we helped overthrow a democratically elected but moving socialist government in Iran. We did it in Iraq. We did it in multiple South American countries. We certainly did it in Chile, the CIA, overthrowing, I believe it was Allende, and installing Pinochet. I can't think of any examples of U.S. intervention like that, where we thought, okay, we're not going to invade. We're just going to tweak the things a little bit, or it didn't blow up in our faces. I mean, it's crazy. Alejandro, thanks for the history lesson about Mexican history. A lot of that I didn't know, and I appreciate it. Thank you. Good talking with you. It is 45 minutes past the hour. Back with your calls right after this.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann. Visit ThomHartmann.com for audio and video archives.
Back with your calls in just a moment. It's the place where smart people get their news. And welcome back. Doug in Fort Collins, Colorado. Hey, Doug, thanks for watching us on YouTube. What's up?
How you doing, Tom? Love your show, and I love your callers even more.
Thank you.
You were in electronics, and I'm also in electronics, and I noticed you have a hard time sometimes grasping numbers. And so I wanted to put something out there. There's almost 333 million Americans. That's a third of a billion. So if every American person gave $3, that's $1 billion.
Oh, that's a nice way to say it.
A trillion is 1,000 billion. So a trillion is $3,000 for every person in America. It gives a way of looking at things like, oh, we spent $1 trillion, everybody's on the hook for $3,000. And it's just a way of putting it in perspective.
Yeah. Thank you, Doug. That's a good one.
Yeah, I just wanted to share that with you.
I will use it. I appreciate it. Elena, am I saying that right, in Seattle?
Yes. Hi, Tom. I wanted to talk. I don't know if anybody called about this today, but the Senate parliamentarian just said that undocumented immigrants cannot be included in the reconciliation bill.
Yeah.
So she basically threw out 8 million people who this would help.
Yeah.
How can we get rid of her? Or
well, first of all, the Democrats
ignore her order, but I think it's better to just replace her with, somebody else.
Let's be very clear here, Elaine. What she is ruling on is a provision in the Senate rules. It's not a law. It is not in the Constitution. And as president of the Senate, Kamala Harris has the ability to overrule a parliamentarian. Just simply say, yeah, thank you very much for your advice. See, the parliamentarian's judgment is not determinative. It is, or whatever the word is, it is advisory. So, number one, the Democrats can simply ignore her. They could just choose to do that. And Republicans have done that in the past. Number two, they could do what Trent Lott did in 2001 when the first Bush tax cut was being put into place, and it actually changed some of the categories of kinds of income that would be eligible for huge deductions, so that people who made their money on stocks and whatnot would get a much bigger deduction than people who earned their money from regular income. And the parliamentarian at that time, I'm forgetting, I think his name was Robert Dove, said you can't do that through reconciliation. That requires legislation. And Trent Lott was the leader of the Senate. He was the Senate Majority Leader at the time, and he just fired him. He fired, as I recall, it was Robert Dove. He fired him and replaced him with somebody else who was willing to go along with it. And so Chuck Schumer has the ability to do that. He can simply say, thank you very much, Mrs. McCullough, I think her name is, or something like that, McCullough or McConaughey. He can say, thank you very much for your advice. And, we will take it very seriously, but, we're going to let you go. And we're going to replace you with somebody who used to work on the Bernie Sanders campaign.
Yeah, so it's basically his decision, right? The whole Senate doesn't have to vote on it, or?
Yes, it is Kamala Harris's decision, and she's a Democrat, whether the Senate is going to take her advice, and it is Chuck Schumer's decision whether she keeps her job. And, Democrats being Democrats, I'm pretty sure both of them are going to wimp the hell out. But, which is very distressing. But that's the situation. Elena, thank you for the call. We'll see, how much and to what extent they may have the courage of their convictions. 10 minutes before the hour. We'll be right back in 1 minute. Stick around. Missed my opening rant today? It's usually published over at HartmannReport.com, where you can read it and share it with your friends for free. Check it out, HartmannReport.com. So we have a new video up over at ThomHartmann.com. It's about 18 U.S. Code 2384, which is a law that was published back in put on the books on June 25th, 1948. It was updated in 1956, and it's very, very straightforward. It says, if two or more persons in any state or territory or in any place subject to the jurisdiction of the United States conspire to overthrow, put down, or destroy by force the government of the United States, or to levy war against them, or to oppose by force the authority thereof, or by force to prevent, hinder or delay the execution of any law of the United States, or by force to seize, take, or possess any property of the United States, they shall be fined under this title or imprisoned for not more than 20 years or both. Tell me that doesn't perfectly describe what happened on January 6th. Seditious conspiracy. The video's at thomhartmann.com. Check it out. And welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you and Paul in British Columbia, Canada. Hey, Paul, what's on your mind today?
Hi, Tom. I wanted to discuss with you issues pertaining to the reconciliation bill and what do you think will ultimately pass in terms of the bill in regards to what will ultimately remain intact. Now, some of the components to the bill obviously consist of Medicare expansion, clean energy standards, universal pre-K, affordable child care, paid family and medical leave. Such an expansion of the public sector really hasn't taken place since about the 1960s with the Great Society programs. And of course, under a sort of Biden leadership who's always sort of strive for bipartisanship, I wonder what will ultimately remain and what will ultimately get taken out. What do you think about that?
If somebody were to put a gun to my head and say, you have to place a bet, my bet would be that the so-called $1 trillion, it's actually $500 billion in new money, the so-called $1 trillion bipartisan bill is the only thing that's going to pass and the only thing that will get signed into law. The Republicans are mobilized against this. They have 10 Democratic allies in the House. They have 2 Democratic allies that we know of in the Senate. There may be others against the $3.5 trillion plan over 10 years. And that $1 trillion plan is not anything more than basically just kind of filling in the holes here and there. It's not the kind of, it's not going to address climate change. It's not going to address the crisis of Medicare. It's not going to, it's just so many things it's not going to address. And if that happens, then I suspect that, Schrader and Sinema and Manchin will succeed with their sabotage. I'm hoping they don't. I'm doing everything I can to make sure that, people know what's going on and to whatever extent they can play the role of activists, they can do something about it. I'm hoping that it won't, but that would be my bet.
Yeah, that's the same sort of unfortunate, cynical, and less optimistic approach I've also taken. But we also got to remember, this is Biden's bill. Most of these policies are policies that Biden advocated for within the context of the early Democratic primary debates. Therefore,
and this is his legacy. Yeah. I mean, he needs to sit these people down and say, I'm not going to let you mess with my legacy, with my presidency, with my success, and frankly, with my party. Because what's going to happen is, if you only get the $1 trillion bill passed, and the economy continues to sag, and the Republicans continue to obstruct him in every regard, and particularly if they can refuse to raise the debt ceiling, if they can get a couple of Democrats to go along with that so they don't raise the debt ceiling, and America is on the edge of default. And by the way, we ran out of money in July, right? Janet Yellen has been pulling money out of wherever she can find it to pay for things. But the bill is going to come due very soon. If they can do that, then you are going to see Republican victories in 2022 and 2024. If, on the other hand, Biden can pass his $3.5 trillion bill, Americans can immediately see the positive consequences of that. Yes. We can see, look at how popular LBJ was after that. I mean, the Vietnam War killed him. But had it not been for the Vietnam War, LBJ would be thought of like FDR right now. So, yeah, I think it's absolutely terrible. Paul, thank you for the call. Carol in Glendale, California. Hey, Carol, what's on your mind? Oh. Carol apparently just hung up trying to answer the phone. Let's try Chuck in Coldwater, Missouri. Hey, Chuck, what's on your mind today?
Hi, Tom. Hi, everybody. I love the show. Just wanted to let you know that in 2015, I got Obamacare. 2016, it kicked in on January 1. On February 1, I got diagnosed with stage 4 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Oh, my God.
And so I signed on to the lawsuit with
against Roundup?
Monsanto. Yeah, used it for years, 2,4-D as well. And so anyway, they hired the guy that did the 9/11 settlements, and they gave us, everybody who's sick, they gave us all points, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I got my points, and I bet it comes out to a pretty good chunk of money, about $150,000. And so I said, okay, that sounds fair. It'll give me some relief. So the attorney took half, or almost half, and then the insurance company took half.
Oh, geez.
Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that the
Did
insurance
you know
companies
that?
could take your settlements. I'm not surprised. I mean, they're insurance companies after all. These guys are predators. They're leeches on the backs of society. Chuck, thank you for the call. Holy cow. My apologies to everybody on hold. We will have to continue this conversation tomorrow because it's the end of the show. But get out there, get active. There's a lot of work we need to do. Stop the privatization of Medicare. Holy cow. And get, $3.5 trillion in reconciliation passed. Get out there, get active, tag, you're it. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great afternoon. Be good to yourself and those around you.
You've been listening to Thom Hartmann. For audio and video archives, visit thomhartmann.com.
These companies support the Thom Hartmann Program. They are HelloFresh, the #1 meal kit delivery service. More information at hellofresh.com, code TOM. CB Distillery for sleeping and pain relief. More info at cbdistillery.com, code TOM. Dinovite, only the best all-natural pet supplements. More info at dinovite.com. Annie's Kit Clubs, creativity delivered right to your door. More info at annieskitclubs.com/Tom. Wild Alaskan Company, delicious, sustainably sourced seafood delivered right to your door. More information at wildalaskancompany.com/Tom. And Mack Weldon, reinventing men's basics. More info at mackweldon.com/Tom.
We say